We are Fox Sports!
San Francisco, California's beauty on the bay, home to the Golden Gate Bridge. Oh yeah, and that new stadium isn't so bad either. But don't let the new digs fool you. This is still the same old 49ers.
Who's got it better than us?
And when it comes to this field, they know how to put on a show. And don't count out the team from down south. Phillip Rivers and his high-powered offense aim to prove their spot among this league's elite.
And five, touchdown, caught, touchdown, San Diego, and here come the Bolts.
It's the Chargers versus the Niners, right now on Fox.
In his 2 seasons as a starter, Colin Kaepernick has led San Francisco to back-to-back NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl. This offseason, the Niners rewarded Kaepernick with a new contract and a new home. After 43 historic seasons at Candlestick Park, the 49ers made the move 40 miles south to Santa Clara and brand new Levi's Stadium. Typical of Silicon Valley, it's state-of-the-art, and today it hosts an in-state rivalry as the San Diego Chargers visit the Niners in preseason action right here on the NFL on Fox. Come on out here and stay a while, folks. I'm Kurt Menefee alongside Randy Moss, and one thing we do know is that this structure can withstand a sizable earthquake. The biggest earthquake to strike Northern California and the Bay Area since the one that halted the World Series in 1989 hit about 3 this morning, but engineers have walked the premises. They say no cracks, nothing wrong here. About 85 miles south of Napa, some significant injuries and some structural damage, so our thoughts certainly go out to those people down there, Randy.
Well, Kurt, I slept through it this morning, luckily, but on the same note, those people in Northern California, I hope they have the aid that they need, and I really hope that they're okay.
Amen to that, brother. All right, well, everything is fine here at the stadium. There will be a football game. And right now, the 49ers need something positive to happen for them, especially on offense. They've played 2 preseason contests, have yet to score a touchdown, Randy, and have been outscored by their opponents 57-3. Any reason to be concerned?
Well, that's unlike the 49ers. We know they can run, but on the passing side, they have the weapons. They brought in Johnson, they re-signed Anquan Bolden, but on the flip side of that, San Diego's defense have struggled in the last couple years. So if the 49ers cannot put up points today in the passing game against a struggling San Diego defense, hey, I look for a big year struggling offensively for the 49ers.
The gauntlet has been thrown down then. You think today is a significant game for them on offense?
Well, because week 4 is an evaluation period, and I really think that they need to put up or shut up today.
All right, well, the gauntlet has been thrown down to those guys. We'll throw it up to the booth right now. And the man who will take us through this 3rd preseason game for both teams, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. Fellas?
Hey, Kurt, Randy, thank you very much. This place could not be any more beautiful. Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
Good. It is week 3 of the preseason for these 2 clubs, and like the guys were just saying, it's time to get something done. And for San Francisco, obviously a tremendous team since Jim Harbaugh took over, it's time to get some traction here in the preseason.
Well, it is. I mean, they have struggled on both sides of the ball. The defense has given up a lot of points, but when you look at them, you can understand it because they've been without a lot of key players. They get some of those guys back today. I expect them to play much better. Offensively, this is as deep as they've been at the wide receiver position, but it hasn't translated so far in the first 2 preseason games, and there is some concern. I know that Jim Harbaugh is expecting them to go out and hoping that they can get into some type of rhythm because, as Randy Moss said, next week these guys won't be playing.
How about the rhythm Phillip Rivers was in last year? I don't know if across the country, if you don't see a lot of Chargers games, people realize how good Phillip Rivers was in 2013.
Yeah, he was sensational. They were a lot of fun to watch, Joe. He was comeback player of the year. He had to have that kind of year for them to go on and make the playoffs like they did. It's year 2. Mike McCoy thinks that this offense should play at a much faster rate. I know that Phillip Rivers is excited because he gets to do a lot of the things at the line of scrimmage and really put the game in his hands.
Yeah, he's got a lot of leeway up there for a very fast-paced, up-tempo offense. He's one of the 2 guys we look at and highlight on today's DirecTV Players to Watch. Not only Phillip Rivers, but Obviously, Colin Kaepernick and this offense looking for their first touchdown of the preseason. This season, get every NFL game every Sunday included at no extra charge when you switch to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Take a break, come back, and talk about the sod and the field in this beautiful new ballpark, and we'll hear from Aaron Andrews when we come back on the other side of the break. It's the San Diego Chargers and the San Francisco 49ers preseason, getting ready for the start of the 2014 regular season. And the conclusion of the Star-Spangled Banner, well sung here at Levi Stadium. The stadium is absolutely gorgeous. Not only what we get a chance to see and show you as we shoot around this stadium, the seats, the playing field. The surface, however, has been an issue. And for more on that, we go down to Aaron Andrews.
Joe, thanks. On Wednesday, 49ers head coach Jim Harbaugh had seen enough. He pulled his team off of this field when guys were losing their footing. They were slipping, and huge chunks of grass were coming up. So on Thursday, San Francisco had some work to do. They had to order a new field with thicker sod. They started laying that down early Friday morning, and they didn't finish till about 6 p.m. on Friday night. I talked to players today during warm-ups on both teams, and they said, it looks fine. You know, you can see some seams. It feels okay. It feels very thick, but they've all admitted they've played on much worse. Now, San Francisco players did tell me they'd much rather play on a field like this than what they had Wednesday at practice, Sunday versus the Broncos, because they said huge chunks were coming up. And as you guys know, up there, they are going to get rid of this entire field after this game and hope it's ready before their home opener week 2.
Aaron, thanks. Aaron will be with us all season long. Happy to have her on our crew. And you can see those shots, by the way, are from today. I mean, maybe it's better than it was on Wednesday when they called off the rest of their practice, but there's still issues down there with the foot.
Well, there's no doubt the sod has not taken root, nor would you expect it to, since it was just laid down over the weekend. And it's a big concern, I'm certain. I think both teams have handled it very well, Joe, but when you start to see key players slipping and sliding as we did in pregame, it becomes a real concern for these coaches.
So the San Diego Chargers, as we talked about, they got hot at the end of last year. Mike McCoy's first year as head coach in San Diego. And that guy, Phillip Rivers, with all that he's allowed to do at the line of scrimmage, they are a quick-paced offense. They get a lot of completions to running backs. He's obviously a smart quarterback. He's been around a long time now, and see that smile on his face. He's in a good position with that guy as his head coach. He lost his offensive coordinator, Ken Wisenhunt, who goes to Tennessee and is the new head coach there, but they just elevate Frank Reich from quarterbacks coach to offensive coordinator. And offensively, they've got a lot of weapons. It's really more questions defensively, stopping the run for San Diego that they have to answer going into this season.
Well, we had a chance to visit with Phillip Rivers the other day, and he's an excited guy, you know, every year, but he sure is looking forward to this season with the success that he had last year, year 2 in this offense, the freedom, as you said, that he's provided at the line of scrimmage. And then with a guy like Keenan Allen, who's coming back for his second year, and what a weapon he was a year ago.
Do you remember how to do this?
Do what?
This.
I don't know. Coach me up.
Here we go. Preseason. It's August, baby. Let's play some football. Well, Michael James is waiting, but he gets usurped. And the return out to about the 20-yard line, an 11-yard return. And we've already had a slip as Bruce Miller, the fullback, is up in front. And it's Miller who takes it. James already goes down, and Miller takes it out to the 21-yard line. We'll see if Bruce gets to touch the ball again the rest of this first half. We should see these guys, Kaepernick and company, for the majority of the first half. And that's it here today. Here's Gore left side, and a nice play is made out on the edge by Legic, who's healthy, coming back off a bad foot last year, and he made a nice play. to start his day. The storyline, who's the backup quarterback for San Francisco? We'll get more of an idea as we go along the rest of the day. Blaine Gabbert has struggled. 2 new starters on the offensive line. And we just saw what San Diego has to do, improve their tackling. Good start for Legion. Diego. Pass too high for McDonald. And a hit is high, and they're going to throw a flag. And they are going to get Sharice Wright for a hit that was too high on Vance McDonald.
That Vance McDonald right up the seam. Should have been an easy completion for Colin Kaepernick, but it gets away from him. You see the hit that comes in, and
there is no penalty for unnecessary roughness as the contact occurred by the shoulder into the chest area of the receiver. Incomplete pass, 3rd down.
That's a good overturn of a call. They threw the flag initially. The officials got together, picked up the flag, and you could see that was with the shoulder.
Yeah, it's a good job by the officials getting together and discussing it and then picking up the flag. I agree that Sharice Wright came in, made a play on the ball, and didn't do anything wrong. So a good non-call.
3rd down and 12. Deliberate at the line is Kaepernick. Out to his right. Will keep it and loses the football. The ball is out. And now they're going to say he was down before the ball came out. San Diego says they have it, but they're saying right now no fumble. It'll be 4th down as Legion was there to make the play, and there's Legion and Weddle, and the two came together. Weddle knocked it away, but they said his knee was down prior to the fumble.
Yeah, pretty close. Take another look at that right knee and see if it is on the ground. The ball looked to me, Joe, like it was coming loose before the knee touched. But a good defensive series there by the San Diego Chargers, and
now they're going to throw a challenge flag and get another look at it. We've got Mike Pereira in the booth, and let me tell you, that's just good news for the United States of America and all points beyond. We may hear from Mike when we come back. Challenged by the Chargers.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by the new Samsung Galaxy S5. The next big thing is here.
We had a chance to visit with Mike Pereira, who is 3 people down from me right now in the broadcast booth, and he says because there's no clear recovery of the loose ball before it goes into the pile, they likely will stay with the call. They initially ruled that Kaepernick was down, his knee was down. I think the ball's clearly out, but because there's no clear recovery before it goes into the pile, Mike thinks the call will stand as is. Mike McCoy will lose a challenge. It'll be 4th down, and we'll see a punt instead of a turnover. Here's a call.
The play, the ruling on the field will stand. Although it was a fumble, there's no video evidence of a clear recovery. Therefore, the ball remains in possession of the offensive team. 4th down. San Diego will be charged with the first timeout.
How good is Pereira?
mid-season form.
Mid-season form. I mean, it's a good start. That's what it is.
Nice suit, by the way, too, Mike.
We'll get to see that later.
He's so frustrated that his mic's not hot.
Yeah, no, I heard him a little bit. Here's Lee with a punt. Beauty. He's a 4-time All-Pro. Waiting for it is Eddie Royal. He has to go all the way back to the 20. What a punt by Lee. 54-yard punt by Andy Lee. That's mid-season form for Mr. Lee.
You know, you go back, Joe, and you look at that first series by San Francisco offensively, and that's kind of what Jim Harbaugh was talking about the other day when we visited with him. The 2nd down there, Colin Kaepernick has a wide open Vance McDonald, just a poor throw. You know, you make that throw, you keep the ball, and you get a 1st down, and you know, who knows what ultimately happens with that drive. Instead, it's a 3 and out. But I mentioned earlier, a good start for the Chargers defensively. They make a good stop on 1st down in the running game, something they've been unable to do, and then they pressure Colin Kaepernick into scrambling there on 3rd and long.
Crowd gets loud. A quick handoff to Matthews, and Ryan Matthews, coming off his best year, is out across the 30, a gain of 7. on first down, and as we will watch, San Diego will keep the pedal down and they go right back to the line of scrimmage. This is the way they'll run it all year.
Yeah, and this is what's got Philip Rivers so excited, and to be able to make the calls at the line of scrimmage. And like he said, it's not like they're just freewheeling up there at the line. I mean, they have a game plan that is discussed coming in on the plays and the things that they want to do.
On second down, wide open Allen, second year. And the rookie of the year last year, Keenan Allen, who had 71 catches, over 1,000 yards, good for 15. And Philip Rivers has been nothing but impressed with not just the ability, but the study habits and the dedication that Keenan Allen has shown.
Yeah, he's a young guy, Joe, and as you said, he had a heck of a season last year as a rookie. Surprised a lot of people, but he's got a long way to go still and a lot of talent.
Here's Gates, the big tight end, who is an 8-time Pro Bowler, is good on first down, a gain of 6 when Patrick Willis brought him down. Remember, this is a defense for San Francisco playing without Navarro Bowman, the 3-time All-Pro who had that gruesome knee injury in the championship game at Seattle. Fast-paced offense, Matthews. Third and short coming up as Ryan picked up 1.
I think San Diego offensively, and as good as they were last year, you know, there were some reasons for that. The offensive line, I thought that Tom Telesco, the general manager, did a nice job of addressing an area of weakness when he took over as a general manager. Now, they had a number of injuries up front, but yet they did a good job in coming together and not allowing Philip Rivers to take a lot of hits, which had not been the case prior to last season.
Matthews out of the backfield, and a nice tackle by Reed. They're going to mark Matthews a yard shy of a first down, and that's the Pro Bowler Eric Reed, who made the sure-handed tackle to force fourth down.
This is an excellent job by Eric Reed coming up in the open field one-on-one and being able to bring a big back to the ground before he's able to pick up that first down.
The rookie who the 49ers love, Bruce Ellington, is waiting for it as Cyphers will punt it. End over end, and we will test Ellington, who hauls in the fair catch at the 15. Flag is down, which has been typical of the preseason. They pick it up. Second time they've picked it up in this first quarter. Philip Rivers didn't like the spot. He went over, pled his case, and lost. 49ers have it second time, no score. Preseason.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by AT&T, mobilizing your world.
It is warmer in Santa Clara than it is a little north of here in San Francisco at Candlestick Point. Sun baking here at Levi's Stadium. Penalty flag flies as Kaepernick is out to his left and turns it into a 5-yard gain, but a flag is down. And if you've watched preseason football during August, you have seen plenty of penalty flags.
Well, this is going to be another one of those. Looked like they grabbed Vernon Davis at the top of the route. That's where Colin Kaepernick was looking to go with the football.
Tony Correnti.
Holding. Defense number 53. This 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. Automatic first down.
While we watch the replay, I want to get your take on it. We're going to talk to Mike Pereira about it. And that was clearly a hold on Vernon Davis as Connor grabbed a hold of him. But I mean, this is a serious sea change in the NFL with what they're doing with all these flags. As Gore gets it, actually Carlos Hyde, the rookie out of Ohio State, has been impressive this preseason, gets a yard. They are calling so many more penalties. I'll give you the stats in a second. They want to take away the illegal contact. They want to call more holding against the secondary. They're calling more offensive pass interference. The game is changing.
Well, it has changed, and it's changed in the preseason. Some of the calls that they've made have not been penalties, but if they are penalties, they've got to be called. I mean, there is the concern now that they'll just go right back to where they were prior to making that a point of emphasis coming into this season.
The ball is out, knocked away, and recovered by San Diego. It's the second time Kaepernick's lost the football. This time it was Legit who knocked it out. He's off to a good start, and this is more of the same for San Francisco.
It's an excellent move by Legit against Mike Iupati, and just gets right past him just as Kaepernick's getting ready to let the ball loose. He gets the pressure inside, and again, that's what John Pagano, the defensive coordinator, has been wanting to see from this defense, something they were unable to do a year ago, get pressure on the quarterback. Now in the first two series of this ball game, they've been able to apply pressure on Kaepernick and get to him.
So now San Diego takes over at the 14 of the 49ers. Donald Brown and a tailback, he gets it. Tries the right side and runs into the arms of Ian Williams. A gain of 2. How about the preseason? You can spin the preseason, Troy, any way you want, but offensively, this is getting alarming for Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator.
Well, they've got good players, and you know, offensive football really is about rhythm, getting in and out of the huddle and developing some amount of confidence, and you have to do that in the preseason. There's a lot of pressure on this group to play well in this game. They've gotten off to a terrible start.
Out of the shotgun, Rivers finds Brown out of the backfield. He's one-on-one with Aldon Smith. And Brown got around Smith, who slowed him down. A gain of 5, third down coming up. Who knows where Aldon Smith will be at the beginning of the year. They're still waiting for the discipline to be handed down and the suspension to be defined by the commissioner. He has to deal with the Aldon Smith situation, arrested 2 times for a DUI and had a weapons charge, and they expect to lose him from 5 to 7 to 8 games.
Well, why not announce it? I mean, I don't know what more information the commissioner needs in order to let everyone know what his status is going to be. I talked to a number of people in the organization. They have no idea when it's going to be announced.
Looked like movement, no flag. Woodhead out of the backfield, and Danny Woodhead is going to be stopped short of the first down. Craig Dahl was there. Dahl getting the start in place of Antoine Buffet. And it's 4th down.
Well, that's an excellent job by the San Francisco defense. They give the ball to San Diego with a short field, and to be able to stop them then on 3rd down is big. But the Chargers here are going to go for it on 4th.
Ryan Matthews comes back in. He's got the big body of David Johnson in front of him. Matthews left side. And didn't get it. Knocked down by Patrick Willis and Michael Wilhoit. And a stop on 4th down for the San Francisco defense. Take a break and come back. What a nice job by this 49er defense after the turnover. San Francisco has it, still no score.
Today's game is sponsored by Corona, who invites you to find your beach, and by Subway. Subway's bringing big barbecue flavor with favorites like the barbecue steak and bacon melt. Subway, eat fresh.
It's a look at the Solar Terrace, top of the roof here at Levi's Stadium, taking over at their own 5. The 49ers, 3rd time they've had it. More trouble for Kaepernick, who just gets rid of it. He almost went down near his own goal line, and this offense can't get any traction yet. Let's go back to the stop of Ryan Matthews on 4th down.
Aldon Smith is the one who makes this play happen. He gets the push and gets the edge, and so it forces Matthews then to try to get inside, and Wilhoit steps in and makes the play. It's an outstanding job on 4th and short, making a key stop, and then once again a hit, this time by Ingram, and a guy who they're really hopeful is at full strength. He played through some injury, and that he'll be able to apply pressure throughout the season this year.
This is the first 12 games last year, coming back from an ACL. This is Hyde. And the rookie who they really like gets 2. Now the 49ers faced with 3rd and long coming up, and a player is down, and that's Gathers. Kwame Gathers is injured, a free agent out of Georgia, and immediately the players on the field called for help. They're already thin up front, and they've lost Sean Lismore out with a bad ankle. And now it's Kwame Gathers, his replacement, who's down. Concern, obviously, for Mike McCoy. Aerial coverage provided by Nationwide Insurance. Kwame Gathers was just bent over backward in the middle of the pile. They're looking at his left leg, and here's a look at the injury.
Well, you take a look at him in the middle, and that's a tough position for anyone who plays nose tackle. That's what you do each and every Sunday, is try to man up and take on 2 blockers, and he just gets bent in half. And they're out there taking a look at him now, and that's a position that they've really tried to address this year. The nose tackle position, if you're going to be a 3-4 defense, I mean, it takes a big stout body there in the middle in order to absorb some of those blockers.
Fans here with a nice hand for Kwame Gathers. So they're without Sean Lismore, who injured his ankle last week. They are getting thin up front on the defensive line, and stopping the run was an issue last year. As you talk about, Troy, it's been an issue so far. It certainly was last week against Seattle. And Marshawn Lynch and what the Seahawks can do running the ball, and now they're going to be tested by the likes of Frank Gore and Carlos Hyde, and obviously what Kaepernick can do with his legs. So they'll have to cart Gathers off the field before a 3rd down and long for the San Francisco 49ers, who ended last year, by the way, with the 24th ranked offense in the NFL. And we didn't know at the time that Kaepernick was dealing with a foot injury that he suffered in week 2 in that game in Seattle. It got better by the end of the year. His stats got better by the end of the year, but nobody really knew the extent of that injury. So he wasn't full speed last season, but the offense, there is room to improve. And as you said at the beginning, they are much deeper at the wide receiver position. But so far with Alex Boone, their right guard, holding out, it looks like in this game alone they're having trouble up front getting Kaepernick time.
Yeah, no, the Chargers have been able to get pressure on Kaepernick, and you know, Alex Boone, is all 49er fans know, he's been holding out, and I believe that they really do miss him. Joe Looney has stepped in. He's done a good job, but he's not Alex Boone. And I think that in addition to the level of play, what you get from a guy like Alex is you get some real nastiness and toughness, and that carries over through the rest of these positions within that offense. But I tell you, they have continued to struggle here today, much like they have through the first 2 preseason games.
So now 3rd down and 8. Quick setup and throw, and a nice catch is made. And they're going to mark enough for a 1st down. That was Anquan Bolden, and if you need a tough catch for this 49er offense, they look for number 81.
Yeah, he runs a slant route, and pretty good coverage too by Sharice Wright. He's all over Anquan Bolden, but Kaepernick puts it on him, and you called it, Joe. I mean, Anquan Bolden is about as fierce a competitor as there is in all of football.
2nd year with the 49ers. Here's Hyde, right side, cuts back, nothing there. Bolden last year, 85 catches, just under 1,200 yards, which was the most by a 49er wide receiver since T.O. had 1,300 back in 2002. That's the kind of impact he had after that trade from the Baltimore Ravens.
It was a great pickup, wasn't it? And it really started week 1. I mean, he shows up against Green Bay and has an outstanding day. And with guys like Michael Crabtree down and the injuries that they had at that position, they were fortunate to have Anquan.
This is over the middle, drops by Vernon Davis. Not much there anyway. And when Jim Harbaugh says a lot of stuff, and most of the time with regard to the media, he's molding his answer to give you words but not really say much. But Jim has said we're just off, you know, and he's right. I mean, that's about as honest as he's going to be. They look off right now.
Well, they do, and you just wonder how that's going to impact them as they go into week 1.
They start the season at Dallas on the 7th. So another 3rd and long. Kaepernick gets hit as he throws, and that's going to drop untouched. It's been either a really good start for the San Diego defense or another really poor start. You can see the frustration on Kaepernick with his 49er offense, and he's had pressure in his face since the start.
Well, the inside pressure is what hurts a quarterback. You get the edge rushers, and then there's a little twist inside, and you see the pressure right in the face of Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, that was Legit that was able to apply the pressure. And another good defensive stop by this Chargers defense.
Andy Lee just got rid of it. Davis is waiting for it, muffs it, picks it up. Chris Davis from inside the 25 now. Doing a lot of spinning, but not making up much ground. Craig Dahl downfield to make the stop. 53-yard punt by Andy Lee. Good start for this Charger defense. And Legit, what a beginning for him. 5.5 to go. Opening quarter here in Santa Clara. We give you a look at what is just a beautiful part of this new stadium. The Edward J. DeBartolo Senior Hall of Fame room. 26 San Francisco Hall of Famers captured in their signature pose. Jerry Rice, Steve Young, Ronnie Lott, Dwight Clark, and of course Joe Montana and Bill Walsh. We got a chance to go through that on Friday. It is something that needs to be seen for any football fan, let alone 49er fan. Downfield broken up. Ladarius Green, the backup tight end. Culliver down there to get a hand on it. Made a good play. Chris Culliver to avoid a deep completion.
Yeah, Ladarius Green, he got by him too. The ball just wasn't far enough out in front of him. Chris Culliver, he's able to come back and make a play on the ball. And Ladarius Green is a guy that they are expecting a lot of big things from this season. Last year, primarily a special teams player early, came on at the end of the year, and he will complement Antonio Gates.
Matthews bounces it to the outside, and Ryan Matthews has got a first down for San Diego as he picks up 15.
I started to get into Ryan Matthews a little bit earlier in the year that he had last year, and really helped carry this offense. And you ask, well, what was the biggest difference? The big thing was that he was healthy. The year before, coming off 2 broken collarbones, and got injured there late, but had a nice season last year for Mike McCoy.
Handoff is to Donald Brown, and that's really what McCoy wants. So heavily influenced as a couple of players get into it. That's Fluker getting into it with Ahmad Brooks. Mike McCoy so heavily influenced by Dan Henning, who always had big backs, whether he was a head coach or an offensive coordinator. And Matthews, as you said, healthy, had a career year, and they need him to be that good to make this offense really click, as it did down the stretch to get the Chargers into the playoffs past Cincinnati. Eventually a 7-point loss to Denver in the divisional round. Handoff is to Brown. He got around Aldon Smith and turns it into a positive play as he gets a couple.
Well, we talked a moment ago about Aldon Smith and exactly, what his suspension is going to be. But I know Vic Fangio, in visiting with him and the training camp that Aldon Smith has had, it's been the best that he has had since he became a 49er. He's essentially been unblockable in practice. He's had a nice afternoon here in the early going.
Now 3rd down and 5. Rivers protected. Gates pass is caught for the first down. Beautiful throw from Phillip Rivers as he hit Antonio Gates with Michael Wilhoit all over him.
An excellent route by Antonio Gates. He pushes up. He's able to get separation. Good ball placement there by Phillip Rivers. And, that's what you're really going to miss without a Navarro Bowman. Obviously, a great leader for this defense and all-pro player. But in pass coverage, Navarro Bowman, he can run with some of these athletic tight ends that we see throughout the league.
Now Jim Harbaugh has thrown a challenge flag. So the officiating crew comes over. He wants to make sure this was a catch.
San Francisco is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass.
It's a catch until the bitter end of it. The ball comes out. Mike Pereira is with us. First of all, Mike, pop your microphone down so we get to hear what you have to say. Secondly, we saw the ball come out after the tackle's made. We've always talked about securing the catch through the ground. What do you think?
Well, you're always talking about the process. You know, does he complete the entire process? Now, if he rolls over and then the ball is taken out of his hands, then really the process is over. Now, the interesting thing to me about this, Joe, I was in New York last week. It's actually Dean Blandino that's looking at this in New York, and he's going to be making the judgment to give to the referee, Tony Careni, as to what he thinks about this. And I like this new system, Joe, because I think it'll bring some more consistency to the call. And I also think, in talking to Dean last week, that he is going to stay with calls unless it's absolutely conclusive that the call is incorrect.
And
so
as you mentioned, though, I think we can't just gloss over it. It's different this year in that the official who goes under the hood is actually in communication and getting help from somebody in New York.
He's actually in communication even before he gets to the booth. He's going to be talking to both the replay assistant with this new communication system they're all wearing and talking to Dean in New York. So the whole thing is really to get consistent decisions and also to cut the overall time. Because sitting in New York, I mean, I watched Dean operate, and he pretty much makes a conclusion pretty fast. Now, they say the referee has the final say. Well, if Dean thinks one way and the referee thinks it's the other, then there's no question who's going to win that argument, because Blandino's the one that grades the referee.
Right.
So I think in the long term, as they get through this, it's going to work out really well.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It was a completed pass, runner down by contact, and with the second act, the defender stripped the ball out. Therefore, it is San Diego's ball. First down at the 41-yard line. San Francisco will be charged with their first timeout.
So there you go. We have seen two challenges. Both have been unsuccessful, and the drive will continue for the Chargers on that good throw by Phillip Rivers to Antonio Gates.
Yeah, an excellent conversion. I'll go back. I agree with Mike. You know, you kind of wonder why maybe they didn't go to that type of system a little bit earlier, but I do think it'll be cleaner. I think you've got a guy then in New York who's at least a little bit more emotionally removed from some of these decisions.
Here's a good play by Dahl. Can't bring down the runner Woodhead, as Danny Woodhead, who is listed at 5'8", 200, turns it into a 2-yard gain.
Well, Danny Woodhead, he's another one of those outstanding pickups, you know, from last year. You think of the changes in the turnover that happened when Tom Telesco, the general manager, and Mike McCoy came in, and I like what Danny Woodhead has provided for this offense. You know, those are types of players, Darren Sproles types, that you just really can't defense. And this offense really was never the same once Sproles left for New Orleans. But now they got that type of back here in San Diego with Woodhead.
Woodhead gets it on the carry, picking his way through much bigger bodies. He gets 5. Woodhead had 76 catches last year for San Diego. Now they've added Donald Brown. Matthews will catch the ball some. They could have 120 receptions out of their running back core.
Yeah, well, they've got plenty of depth, certainly at that position. And I think that Phillip Rivers did a great job as far as spreading the ball around. But a lot of weapons on that offensive side of the ball, and it's again, a big reason as to why they were so prolific a year ago.
Rivers, Woodhead on third down. He's got a first down again to the 25. A gain of 9. Culliver on the stop, but once Danny Woodhead gets it in the open field, he is tough to bring down.
A lot of one-on-one on the outside, and then you've got to account for the back out of the backfield. A good block on the outside by Eddie Royal, which helps free him up. But Chris Culliver, he's there in a position to make a play, and he's got to be able to come up and make that stop.
That was a rookie slot corner, Jimmy Ward, who got the block from Eddie Royal.
390.
Under a minute to go, opening quarter. Rivers As all day now flushed out, he's going to float it for Matthews. Had to wait, but he's got a touchdown. A flag is thrown. A flag comes in from the secondary as Matthews got behind the defense. But we'll check the flag. At the moment, a touchdown, a 25-yard catch and run from Rivers to Ryan Matthews.
After the completion of the pass, illegal block in the back, offense, number 13. This foul occurred at the goal line. Therefore, the penalty assessed from that spot. First down.
So it's a first down. They already picked up the first down in line to gain. They keep that, but it takes the touchdown away as Keenan Allen is guilty of the bad block.
Well, Phillip Rivers, he keeps the play alive. He's not a real mobile quarterback, but when he got outside the pocket, they had Ryan Matthews come in. You know, they had pretty good coverage on him initially, but then they came up and allowed him to get in behind the defense, and Rivers finds him.
Moves the ball back to the 10. You saw the block in the back from Keenan Allen, and it's first and goal. Got off to a sloppy start. They're going to grant a timeout to San Diego.
Timeout. San Diego. This is their second.
So with that, we'll remind you that Friday, September 5th, it's a big one. UFC Fight Night returns to Fox Sports 1. 4th ranked Jacare Souza and 7th ranked Gegard Mousasi. The action starts at 6 Eastern Friday, September 5th, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
I laugh because I know you were working on the pronunciation last night.
Mousasi. That's on Friday on Fox Sports 1. Did you wake up during the earthquake this morning?
I sure did. Thoughts and prayers are with those up north.
Man, it was 6.0, and it was centered in the Napa Valley region, and they have obviously had a lot of construction damage, and who knows once they sift through all that. Biggest one they've had in this area since 1989. 25 years. Rivers, end zone, Gates, touchdown. Gates broke free, and it's a 10-yard touchdown throw from Phillip Rivers, and Antonio Gates is on the receiving end. He's got 87 during his career. This one just in preseason, but he's been doing this, Troy, for a long time.
Yeah, just poor coverage. They go trip set to the right side there. Gates lines up in the middle. He runs a seam route. Just a busted coverage by San Francisco, and San Diego, their first opportunity in the red zone. They went for it then on 4th down. They failed to come away with any type of points. This time they get down in the red zone. They come away with a touchdown. An area where they desperately need improvement from a year ago. We're not good down in the red zone, but they capitalize on that drive.
26 in the NFL a year ago. Phillip Rivers has started this game 9 for 10 as Novak knocks it through. Antonio Gates 3 catches and now a touchdown and a 7-0 San Diego lead. Talked momentarily about that foot injury that people were really unaware of last year that Colin Kaepernick suffered early in the season. For more on that, down to Aaron Andrews.
Yeah, Colin went into detail with the media about it this week, saying he suffered a chipped bone on his forefoot and a ruptured capsule in the ball of his foot. That was in week 2 against Seattle. The biggest thing was it prevented him from pushing off his foot in a normal way, and as Greg Roman told us and Colin Kaepernick told me, he wasn't as fast as he wanted to be last year. He said around week 12 he started to feel a little better, but it wasn't until the off season that he really was able to heal and feel like himself. We noticed after practice the other day he looked thinner. Greg Roman said, well, yeah, that's because he's moving more.
Yeah, he's lost a couple of pounds. He's moving more, and so far in this game he's had to move more because he's been under a lot of pressure.
He has been under a lot of pressure, Joe, and You know, last year with the foot injury, I really do admire him for not making that an issue during the season. But running the football for the 49ers last year was not the problem. The problem for them was that they were unable to make enough plays in the passing game. A lot of that had to do with the injury, again, to Michael Crabtree. Some of it has to do with the development of Colin Kaepernick as well.
Michael James, who is coming back from a dislocated elbow, slides down shy of the 25, and the 49ers will have it for the 4th time. Still looking to pick up first downs and move the ball down the field.
And Joe, I expect this to really be a great year for Colin Kaepernick. I mean, he got the big contract. I think with that, you realize the organization is behind you. They've got a lot of weapons offensively. Now, it's not shown itself on the field, but I do expect him to have a good year. It's just a matter of when they can pull it all together, because that has been the big concern.
Delayed handoff to Michael James. And that will likely be the final play of the opening quarter as James gets 3. It was a very team-friendly contract that Kaepernick signed. And I think Colin, if he were to be truthful, would say, okay, some of the money I saved you, throw it into the bank account of Alex Boone and get him up front to help protect me.
Alex Boone is probably watching this telecast, and I think he would agree with you.
Yeah. Come back, Alex. That's what the 49ers, at least the players, are saying. They need their big guard back. 7-0. San Diego leading. After one, more from Santa Clara after this from your local Fox station. Two guys we talked about coming in. Phillip Rivers, his day. A lot different than the man who is under center. 4th drive of this first half for the 49ers. 2nd and 7. Pass caught. Bolden. And Anquan Bolden has got a first down at the 35, a gain of 8.
You start to ask yourself, Joe, just, how long is this #1 unit offensively going to play for the 49ers? And most people would think 3rd preseason game, okay, you play into the 3rd quarter, and most teams do that. But Jim Harbaugh says, hey, I approach every preseason game the same. He told us he didn't anticipate them playing much further than midway into the 2nd quarter.
Handoff is to James. He gets swallowed up in the backfield. It was Freeney, who we all became aware of while he was with the Colts. Dwight Freeney, a 7-time Pro Bowler, had his season cut short with a quad injury last year. He made the play.
Dwight Freeney is the guy they brought in, as you said, and to put pressure on the quarterback. That never materialized because of the injury. And then you start to think, well, at his age, just is he going to get back to the form that he was when he made all those Pro Bowls? They say that he's looked pretty good, even though he's been limited in what he's been able to do here in the preseason.
2nd down and 12. 4 men on the rush. Pass is caught. James ducks his head as he gets hit. A nice pickup of 7. I would be surprised, though, Troy, if this offense doesn't stay out there a little deeper into this game than Harbaugh anticipated coming in, because they've got to figure something out.
No, I agree. I think that based on what we've seen so far, I'd be surprised if they don't play through at least the entire 2nd quarter. And LaMichael James on that last play, I think they've got to get him more involved in this offense. He's a dynamic player, and he can do things like that, but he's been limited. Part of that has been because he's had a hard time staying healthy.
Now 3rd down and 5. Kaepernick's got it down, and that's Vernon Davis. And Davis has got a first down, still going inside the 45. Gilchrist on the stop, but a 15-yard catch and run by Vernon Davis, one of the best ever at the position.
Well, Vernon Davis is going to come up. It's man-to-man coverage, and you're not going to run with him. I don't care who you are. He's one of the fastest guys in all of football. He's the fastest player on the field right now for the 49ers, and so they get the coverage they want. Him running away from it. Colin Kaepernick gets the ball into his hands, and a nice completion.
He's 30 years old. He's #1 in franchise history in touchdown catches by a tight end. And receiving yards, #2 to Brent Jones in catches. Pass is somehow caught by Crabtree. Nearly picked off as Jaleel Adai flashed through there and almost got his hands on it.
Now he comes across and he lays out for it, and Colin Kaepernick threads the needle. But it was anticipated slant route. Michael Crabtree gets good position inside.
It was actually Weddle, not a guy who made that diving attempt, and now on first down. Kaepernick with play action. Pass is caught by the fullback Miller. And Miller lowers his shoulder into the body of Marcus Gilchrist, a gain of 7. Second down and 3 coming up, and now the 49ers offensively looking better.
Yeah, this is a good drive right now for the 49ers.
Hyde gets it, delayed handoff. And Carlos Hyde, who appears the heir apparent to Frank Gore, has got a first down inside the 20. And a nice, powerful run of 8 yards for the second-round pick out of Ohio State.
Well, Carlos Hyde, he says that he runs a lot like Frank Gore, and he does. I mean, he's a big back, but he has small back type movements. So, you know, for being as big and as physical as he is, he's got good quickness, is essentially what that means. And what Frank Gore has had behind him for the most part have been smaller scat back types. Kendall Hunter, who's out for the year, and then LaMichael James. But to have a guy like Carlos Hyde, yeah, he's going to punish some defenses.
Pass tipped and incomplete. Legit again. Said his name 3 or 4 times in this opening half. Legit was there defensively for San Diego.
Well, we talked about San Diego in the red zone offensively. Defensively, that's an area where they need to get better also. They struggled down here when offenses got inside the 20-yard line. We'll see what they're able to do here on this possession.
Handoff is to James, and he gets tripped up immediately, and it's that same man, Corey Legit, in the backfield for San Diego.
Yeah, he's had a heck of a first half here, and a guy who last year had a good season, and he was playing hurt for a good part of the year with a shoulder injury, but he has been awfully disruptive here in this first half.
So now 3rd down and 14 as the 49ers hope the drive doesn't stall right here. 4 tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble so far for Legit.
You want to go?
Kaepernick is batted into the air, and it drops before Kilgore can make a catch. It's 4th down, and that will bring on Phil Dawson, who's still trying to get a feel for his new home stadium.
Well, this is an excellent job by the San Diego defense that the 49ers were able to move the football down the field, got into a position inside the 20-yard line, but to force a field goal attempt is an excellent job. John Pagano, the defensive coordinator, has got to be real happy about that.
Donald Butler, who got up into the air and batted that pass away. Now the attempt by Dawson. 39-yarder is perfect. Phil missed a couple last week. The debut of the stadium, at least for the 49ers against Denver, he's good now. And a 7-3 game. Second quarter, Santa Clara.
Today's Game on Fox is sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta let mops. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
That's in that terrific 49ers museum, a recreation from Bill Walsh's Redwood City office filled with artifacts, and the original film projector Walsh used. Walsh, who was taken off the Stanford staff where he was the defensive coach, turned into an offensive coach by Al Davis back in the mid-60s. On the return, it's Donald Brown. And can't make the 20. He got smoked. Hit by Chris Borland. A 16-yard return. Little better last time they had it. For the 49ers on offense. Flag is down on that kick return back in the area where the ball left the foot of Phil Dawson. It's like an offside on the kicking team.
Offside, kicking team, number 41. San Diego has taken the option of re-kicking with a 5-yard penalty.
So they would like to see another return by Donald Brown. It was Bubba Ventrone who was across the line of scrimmage too soon.
Well, an opportunity to get another look at some of these younger players. As you know, a lot of times that's what decides whether or not a guy is going to be able to make the team, is whether they can contribute on special teams. So another look here with a kickoff.
So that was the option that was presented to San Diego, and I'm sure Jim Harbaugh doesn't mind it either. Chance to see some of his guys get downfield. Chance for Brad Seeley, who is the special teams coordinator, to see some of these guys try and stay in their lanes and make a play. It's only the 3rd accepted penalty all game. So we have not had that flag fest that we've seen in other preseason games yet. Brown waiting again for the kick from Dawson in his 16th year. Good one. And that drives Brown back into the end zone where he takes a knee. Take a break. Come back. Chargers will have it up by 4. Second quarter. Here in the new home of the 49ers and a new quarterback, Kellen Clemens, when we return. Well, a good day for Phillip Rivers. He will end it 9 for 10, 85 yards. And coming off a touchdown that he found with Antonio Gates in the end zone. And now Kellen Clemens, who was the backup to Sam Bradford and started the final 9 games of the year last year for St. Louis. Bradford has been lost for the entire season after a hit he suffered in last night's game against the Cleveland Browns. So Clemens now is the backup to Phillip Rivers, and a guy with 21 starts in the NFL as Danny Woodhead gets 4 on the first play, getting it out of the right hand of Clemens.
Yeah, and a lot of those, as you said, last year with the Rams when Bradford went down, but it appears that that's been an outstanding pickup by the San Diego Chargers. He's looked awfully good through the first 2 preseason games. He manages the offense well. We see what he does throwing the ball. He's got a good understanding of the run game also.
Here's Woodhead again. He will get out to the 29. Last year it was Charlie Whitehurst as the backup. Ken Wisenhunt, the offensive coordinator for San Diego, gets the Tennessee job. He takes Whitehurst with him, and it was about a day later that the Chargers had the veteran Clemens under contract.
And Phillip Rivers, he was excited about the signing as well. He was familiar with Kellen Clemens. Of course, he has a great friendship with Charlie Whitehurst, and people don't realize that quarterback room, that's a pretty intimate room with just typically 2 quarterbacks and an offensive coordinator, and so the starting quarterback wants the right guy in there with him.
Nice play defensively as Donald Brown is knocked down short of a first down. Mike Purcell, the first guy in there, a young player trying to make this team a loss of 1.
Well, the 49ers are now going with a lot of young players on the defensive side of the ball. Have got their key guys out, and just an excellent play. Penetration in the backfield, making a key stop. They're on 3rd down and forcing a punt.
A free agent from Wyoming is Mike Purcell. He was with this club last year, but maybe an opportunity with the injury to Glenn Dorsey. He's got a torn biceps and he's going to miss 3.5 months. Here's Ellington rather, and he is knocked down immediately by Darryl Stuckey. And the forward progress will be at the 21. That's where the 49ers will have it as they trail by 4. Well, here's the new stadium. Levi's Stadium, home of the 49ers. Kezar Stadium opened in 1925, located in the southeastern corner of Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. The first home, 1946 to 1970. The stadium was demolished and rebuilt in 1989 with a much smaller seating capacity, and a painting of Kezar Stadium is hung in the new Levi's Stadium, which, as we said at the beginning, is a place that should be seen. It's beautiful from the view of the field, but you get inside, you look at the different club seating and the Hall of Fame. It is a great new home. Here's Hyde. Nice run, bouncing it to the outside and taking it out to the 40, the 41, and a run of 20 yards.
And you talk about this new stadium, and it is beautiful, Joe. This is such a great area, and Candlestick certainly held a lot of great memories and a lot of special games and moments. You wonder what these Chargers think about that. You know, they've been trying to get a stadium done down there in San Diego for quite a while, and just have had no success whatsoever. And you know, Dean Spanos had an opportunity to tour this facility when he arrived today as well.
20-yard carry. Blaine Gabbert is taken over at quarterback. Pass is caught, and there are a lot of interested eyes on number 2 for San Francisco as the 49ers search for a backup quarterback. Really went through the entire preseason last year. They ended up with McCoy. Now they've got Gabbert, and so far he has struggled in the preseason game.
Well, he has, and you know, you watch him in practice as I did on Friday, Joe, and you know, he's a real talented guy. I mean, he can make all the throws, make some spectacular throws, but it has been a struggle here this August.
Handoff is to Hyde. Hyde is wrapped up a yard shy of a first down. According to Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, he likes what Gabbert has physically, the arm, the way he quotes by saying he can really spin the ball, but it's almost like he needs a cleansing of what went on with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and there's much more for Gabbert here in the way of weapons as opposed to what he had in Jacksonville.
You know, Jacksonville at the time that he got there was a very difficult situation. I think you could have dropped any quarterback there in Jacksonville, and they would have come out of it probably not much better than Blaine Gabbert did.
Protected, pulls it down, and now looks to his left for Quentin Patton. Patton wasn't ready for it, and on third down and less than a yard, an incompletion, and we'll see if Jim Harbaugh wants to press it or bring the punt team on, and it will be a punt team in the end of this drive for Gabbert.
I'm a little surprised at midfield here that Jim Harbaugh is electing to punt rather than go for it. And you know, you don't get a lot of those short yardage opportunities in these preseason games either.
Lee, the ball checks up and comes backward, tapped by Dahl, and the Chargers will have it. Second possession for Kellen Clemens after a 29-yard punt. Back after the break. See, the temperature is over 80. Crystal clear blue sky overhead. And you were talking about the San Diego Stadium situation, and Dean Spanos, he said his one wish is if he could bring the politicians and the great fans of the San Diego Chargers up here just for one game to see what it's like and what this new beautiful stadium is all about. He's been at it for a dozen years. Pass is caught somehow by Donald Brown as Kellen Clemens was hit as he released it. And it's no gain on first down. Chargers are lucky to keep the ball.
Well, this was a little bit of a concern last week when they played Seattle. Kellen Clemens took a number of hits and showed great poise. They were able to, under pressure, still complete the pass. But even though Kellen Clemens is in the game, they've got their starting group, starting 5 offensive linemen in front of them.
More from Brown. And the former Indianapolis Colt picks up 5. And so now a third down coming up.
There's Frank Reich, and a longtime quarterback in the NFL. Of course, most of those years were with the Buffalo Bills, and with Ken Wisenhunt getting the head job in Tennessee, he goes from quarterback coach to calling plays, and you know, that's been a bit of a learning curve for him, even though he was involved in some of that as a backup to Jim Kelly in his playing days.
Clemens throws, pass is broken up. The intended target is a young man they like a lot, Dontrell Inman, who played 2 years in the Canadian Football League. But it was a nice play by Parrish Cox, who knocked it out, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, good stop defensively by San Francisco. And Dontrell Inman, as you said, Joe, they like him. He's showed some signs there in training camp. You just wonder if it's going to become a numbers game with him. Vincent Brown, a veteran receiver who hasn't played, it may come down to one of those two guys.
Here is Ellington staying away from it. Short punt by Cyphers. We were talking about the San Diego Stadium situation. For more on that, down to the person who is sunning right now here in Santa Clara, Erin Andrews.
Good SPF day, by the way, absolutely. Yeah, and more on Qualcomm Stadium. 47 years old, that stadium, and there's been so much conversation about it with the new mayor that they have. Is that stalling the process? Is that going to speed it up? Also, the talk about Los Angeles potentially getting a team. Could that hurt San Diego in getting a stadium? I was just talking to some of the Chargers players during warm-ups today about the new digs here, and some of them said the visiting locker room, we would just take that. We're dying for a new locker room, let alone a stadium. So this visitors locker room, not so shabby, Joe.
Thanks, Aaron. A handoff to Bruce Ellington, who was coming down the line on a quick hitting play and a gain of 5 yards for number 3, and a guy who really figures to factor in heavily to this offense as a rookie for San Francisco.
Yeah, and he's playing a role that you just don't see many young receivers play, and that's the slot position. And you've got to know offensive football. You've got to know what's happening around you within coverages, and you typically don't see young players with that kind of knowledge, but he's been impressive.
Handoff is to LaMichael James. James will carry it to the 40 and a 3rd down and 2 coming up for Blaine Gabbert.
So you follow up on what Erin Andrews reported, Joe, and tell you what, if San Diego's not careful, they're not going to have a football team, because Dean Spanos has done all that he can do for a long period of time, and these teams that are having success are able to provide quality stadiums, and that's not one down in San Diego. And I'd sure hate to see the Chargers not be a part of that community.
On 3rd down and 2, Gabbert throws, pass is caught for the 1st down. Vance McDonald out across the 45, and a nice catch by the 2nd-year tight end, who had only 8 catches as a rookie a year ago. Oldest stadiums in the NFL. Well, Soldier Field has been redone. Lambeau Field, they continue to make that bigger and better every year. Oakland Coliseum, they have their own issues in Oakland, both football and baseball. And then Qualcomm. Hand off to James. And James is bottled up immediately, is flung forward for a gain of 2. And that was the rookie, Jerry Ataushu. Ataushu is a 2nd-round pick this year, and he's to be heavily counted on for San Diego. 2-minute warning in Santa Clara. Coming up at the half, Kurt Menefee, Randy Moss. They're getting ready to go out there in the sunshine. NFC West the best. They'll ask that question and answer it. And obviously big preseason injury news led by the Rams losing Sam Bradford last night for the rest of the year. Gabbert out to his right. He has got his tight end again. Penalty flag flies as Vance McDonald makes the catch and had to go up to get it. A completion of 17 yards. The flag is down. It's against San Diego.
Illegal contact. Defense number 23. This penalty is declined. The result of the play, 1st down.
It's the 2nd one of those we've seen in this game.
Watch LaMichael James as he takes on the blitzing linebacker in the middle. Does an excellent job of getting him on the ground, and Gabbert feels the pressure. He's able to move, but he sets his feet and delivers a good ball to Vance McDonald.
59. Hurry.
Gabbert sets up, throws, has a man, pass caught by Ellington. And Bruce Ellington showed good hands with a catch down to the 16.
Boy, he sure did. Got a good release off the line of scrimmage. Not necessarily an easy catch for him to make, but he's got excellent speed, and you know, that's something that this offense has really lacked at the wide receiver position, and they're fortunate to get that from him.
Another good throw by Gabbert, and again it's Ellington on the receiving end. Gabbert and the 49ers forcing the action. They've got plenty of time down here with 1:26. A flag is down on that last play.
We see them working off of the no huddle and the 2-minute offense, but it's the first time in this half that I've seen them start to show some type of rhythm. They didn't have that at all while Colin was playing.
Offense, number 13 lined up beyond the ball. 5-yard penalty. Repeat. First down.
First year in San Francisco for Stevie Johnson. It's an offensive offside penalty, which erases that 5-yard completion to Ellington. Colin Kaepernick, 4 drives, 6 for 12 on the day, 59 yards, ran it 2 times for 13. Started 1 for 5, finished 5 of his last 7. Still no touchdowns for San Francisco this preseason. Gabbard and company trying to change that as LaMichael James gets 5, brought down by Cordero Law.
Well, he was close too. LaMichael James was. Law is able to get him on the ground, but if he's able to slip that one, there's a chance he's able to get all the way into the end zone with plenty of time. A good call there by Greg Roman.
On second down, this one's tipped, and it drops untouched. Out on the edge. The play was made by Law, who just made that tackle. So Cordero Law got up to knock it away. He's a first-year player out of Southern Miss, played in the Canadian Football League, and he's made plays back-to-back.
Well, 3rd and long here. Gabbard has had a mistake in each of the preseason games. Got to be careful here, knowing that he's at least got 3 points, but be smart with the football.
Gabbard, pass caught. That's Patton. And he loses his helmet. Depends on the spot. And he gets up, puts his arms in the air, and it looks like it's enough, and it is for a first down. Tough catch, Quentin Patton.
Timeout. San Francisco. This is their second.
I'm not sure what the celebration was about other than the first down, but he absorbs a pretty good blow. You see the helmet come flying off, and he able to hang on to the football, but a nice job, a good route. They're able to keep this drive alive on 3rd and long by converting on 3rd down. I was thinking the official might throw the flag there when he's walking into the end zone. A little bit of a celebration.
Quentin was a 4th-round pick a year ago. So his 2nd year, not a huge impact on the offense last year. Probably just happy to make a play here in the preseason and get a first down on 3rd down.
Harbaugh was happy to see them make a play too.
So 1st and goal. One timeout left for the 49ers. Gabbard has McDonald and a touchdown. The first of the preseason for the 49ers.
That's an excellent drive and an excellent job by Blaine Gabbard. He can build on this drive. Here's a natural pick that happens, and it frees up Vance McDonald to get to the flat. A well-designed play by offensive coordinator Greg Roman, and a great job offensively of finishing the drive with a touchdown.
Gabbard found McDonald 3 times on that drive and one 17-yard completion to him. And now a 6-yard touchdown pass. And that's a big one for Blaine Gabbard, whether it's August 24th or not.
No, that's a good drive. I thought he showed some good poise. Joe, he delivered some good throws. Ellington got involved in that drive. Vance McDonald did. Some young players. You know, Vance McDonald got an opportunity this offseason because, as you remember, Vernon Davis was holding out. So he was getting all the work in the OTAs, and I think that certainly helped him. I expect him to contribute more this year than he did last year. He had some problems last year as a rookie with some drops. Of course, Vernon Davis reported to training camp on time and has been outstanding. But I would expect Vance McDonald to be a bigger contributor this year.
2nd-round pick last year, as I mentioned, only 8 catches. Phil Dawson, by the way, was limping a bit as he came off the field. Looked like his plant foot, that left foot, gave a little bit on this turf. And so Dawson is not kicking away. That's Colton Schmidt. So that's something to be aware of, that Phil Dawson, after the extra point, gives way to Schmidt for the kickoff. It is received at about the 5. And the return by Herndon. Troy, I'm sending this one your way. Ever think if you were in charge, the world would be a better place? Well, this September, Fox is giving 15 ordinary people a chance to prove it by building their ideal society from scratch. Utopia. Witness the birth of a brave new world, Sunday, September 7th on Fox. Here's Dawson on that extra point. He rolled over that left ankle.
Well, you don't know if maybe he put his foot down in one of the seams. You know, I mean, you see them patting down the turf, and the significance of the injury, who knows? But I wouldn't dismiss the new sod.
Yeah. It's been a story all week, and it will continue to be, as they're going to rip what we see out on Monday. Check the soil underneath. They've got more work to do. That's it. The first half in the books, 10-7 game. And the first touchdown for the 49ers this preseason out of the right hand of Blaine Gabbert into the two hands of Vance McDonald and into the end zone. That broke the ice and gave the 49ers the lead. And a smile on the face of Blaine Gabbert. Halftime in Santa Clara. For a second half of football here in Santa Clara. New home of the San Francisco 49ers. We have a 3-point lead over the San Diego Chargers. Good showing by Phillip Rivers and company, and then Blaine Gabbert got the offense down the field into the end zone for the first touchdown of the preseason for the San Francisco 49ers. From our little perch, that's Schwabe and Svita. I don't know if they're still on camera right now, but what do you think? What did we see in that first half? The offense for the 49ers still looked a little bit off, at least that first group.
Yeah, I think that's the concern for the 49ers. I do think the defense, you know, they did some good things today, and I think they're going to be fine. The real concern for me would be that offense, again, just not really being able to pull it together. For the Chargers, I think both sides of the ball have got to be pretty pleased. Both these teams came in having to do better than they had shown, and I think the Chargers were able to do that.
Brad Sorensen has taken over. Javante Herndon with a catch on first down, a gain of 6. Let's go down to Aaron Andrews.
Kind of a fun twist preseason-wise. I tried to walk out with Jim Harbaugh, and he threw Colin Kaepernick in front of me and said, talk to him, ask him. So I did. I said, what was wrong with the starters on offense out there? Why weren't you able to get into a rhythm? And he said, that's a good question. I have no idea. We are not executing the way we need to execute. We need to be a lot more aggressive. I said, well, what about the offensive line and the way they were able to get pressure on you? And he said, again, this line needs to be a lot more aggressive. Colin Kaepernick and San Diego Chargers head coach Mike McCoy said the field's fine, though, guys. They're not worried about it.
Well, that's good news. That was such a focus going into this game, and Kaepernick being honest with Aaron Andrews, and it was Harbaugh making Aaron ask Colin what was wrong, and there's the day for Kaepernick, who got better as the game went on. The protection got a little bit better, but it's becoming more and more obvious that offensive line, Troy, that's been so good for so long for San Francisco, misses their starting right guard Alex Boone, who's played all 38 games over the last 2 years, as Oliver carries for 4.
Well, I think in addition to that, Joe, you know, really the right side. I mean, Anthony Davis is going to be fine, and Jonathan Martin is a new acquisition. He's been playing in these preseason games. Joe Looney, of course, taking Alex Boone's spot, and then center Jonathan Goodwin back in New Orleans, and now they've got Daniel Kilgore. So there has been some adjustments, and yet they all haven't been able to play together. And I think that has part to do with it on the offensive line.
Pass is behind Herndon out of the right hand of Brad Sorensen, who started this preseason 8 for 11. He gets it now. Kellen Clemens is on the bench, assuming for the rest of the day. And there are the numbers. Second season out of Southern Utah for Sorensen.
I think to follow up on that with the 49ers too, Joe, is that offense, you know, speaking from experience when I played, you're not thinking about every down and distance. You're just going out and executing plays. And when you start pressing, everything becomes difficult. Every first down becomes difficult. And that's what I saw of the 49ers.
Lemonier with pressure, and down goes Sorensen. And at the end, it was Chris Borland who's going to get credit for the sack, a loss of 7. Borland in a fight for more playing time, trying to take up for the absence of Navarro Bowman.
Well, we've seen a lot of coverage on the outside, a lot of one-on-one looks for the Chargers to throw the football, but good coverage there by the San Francisco 49ers. And then Borland, you know, one of these young players that they brought in that, you know, is a pretty exciting player, had a great career there at Wisconsin, very instinctive. Sometimes that's gotten him into some trouble, but was a dynamic player in college.
Tony Corrente, who is our referee, got hit on that last play. He starts the play in the offensive backfield. There was obviously a lot of bodies flying around back there as Sorensen ended up on the ground and Corrente got hurt. Which means that Mike Pereira will have to fill in down there on the field and get the old stripes on and throw flags left and right. Hopefully Corrente's all right. Did you see anything, Mike, that happened? I know you have the ability down there to rewind the play.
Yeah, if you actually look on the live shot, you're going to see him get run into right at the top of the screen there, inadvertently, and I must have caught something. He was holding his jaw. You know, they've got this new microphone that they're wearing along the jaw there, and he talked about how he got cut with that microphone trying to unpile players and dig out a fumble, and he got cut a week ago. So it's that might have been what happened to him.
Well, that was Tony Jared Eddy who ran into him. Didn't appear to be much. Crowd growing restless. They don't know what exactly happened, but yeah, it looks like he's got an issue with the jaws. He got the hit from the pads of Jared Eddy and seems to be fine. So we'll have the punt. With LaMichael James waiting deep. Chase Tenpenny is going to get rid of it. Mike Cyphers has his hold very firm on the punting job for the San Diego Chargers. He gets the rest of his day off. And the left footer gets rid of it. Not a pretty kick, but effective. As it bounces forward and will stop just outside the 25. 46-yard punt. When we come back, it's the 49ers on offense. Gabbert back to work, up 3.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Corona, who invites you to find your beach. By the premium taste of Chili's new top shelf enchiladas. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Over 200 pieces of original art scattered all over the suite levels of Levi's Stadium. Celebration of the great 49ers history as Patton has that ball knocked away, and a good defensive play is made by Steve Williams on first down.
We talked about Blaine Gabbert and the job that he did to finish off that first half, Joe. I really do think it's something that he can build on. He just has to have some successes. You think about when he was taken, you know, 10th overall there in 2011. His head coach Jack Del Rio gets fired in the middle of the season. They announce a change in ownership. I mean, it was just a lot of moving parts and a very difficult situation for him.
He was a good quarterback at the University of Missouri. Had a big arm. He has shown that in his time here with San Francisco. But it was stacked against him when he was the 10th overall pick in that draft. Cam Newton went #1 overall to Carolina that year. It was also the same draft that Colin Kaepernick came out.
Yeah, a lot of quarterbacks taken in that draft. A lot of teams in need as they are seemingly, every year. This is a great opportunity for him to come in, kind of take the pressure off of him. Kaepernick's the guy, and get with a solid organization that can help him offensively.
Yeah, with a really good offensive coordinator. Here's one that's dropped in and out of the hands of Bruce Ellington. That was a 3rd down incompletion, well covered anyway by Chris Davis, and it's a quick 3 and out.
Yeah, good stop defensively. And we talked a little bit about Bruce Ellington a little bit earlier and the role that he'll have within this offense. A lot of people don't realize, he's an extremely fast guy, but he was a 3-year starter there at South Carolina on the basketball team, and I think that helps him as much as anything on the football field when he's working those inside routes, because it is a lot like basketball and working off of defenders.
Schmidt with a punt. Davis waiting for it. Fair catch called for by Chris Davis. Take a break, come back. When we do, it will be San Diego down by 3 with the football here in Santa Clara. That is a look inside the Fantasy Football Lounge, which is a fantasy football player's dream. You can watch the game here and then track your team via the 210 linear foot stat crawl featuring the latest stats. We had our little fantasy football draft last night. David Thrower, one of our outstanding camera operators, had the first pick, and he's the reigning champ. Something just doesn't feel right about that. 2nd down and 7.
You pretty happy with your team, are you?
With my general manager, Dave Schwalbe, putting that together. Yeah.
I went auto pick, so I don't even know who I have yet.
You're so bitter.
Not bitter.
You're bitter.
Just have better things to do.
2nd down and 7, and the pass is batted down. And that looked like Aaron Lynch. Aaron Lynch is a kid who's got a chance. He's a rookie, a 5th-round pick out of South Florida. Had some issues down there, so he slid down draft boards, but he is a big-bodied outside linebacker that they like a lot.
Yeah, he might be a guy, they're hopeful that he can pick things up, and he's young and green, but maybe he can be a guy who can help fill that void as a pass rush specialist when Aldon Smith is out.
Good protection and a decent throw, a little bit out of the reach, out of the hand of Sorensen, and out of the reach of Ladarius Green, who, as you mentioned earlier, 3rd year for Green, and a guy who's been more and more involved, and they're looking for the next step out of the 3rd-year pro out of Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah, I mean, you put him in the mix with a guy like Keenan Allen, and then Malcolm Floyd coming back from his injury, and we talk about the backs and the job that Danny Woodhead does in the passing game as a receiver from the backfield, and then him. I mean, there's no wonder that Phillip Rivers is as excited as he is.
Punt from Tenpenny, and it's going to hang up and go out of bounds. Not a very good effort by a guy trying to put something on tape for other teams. It is just a punt of 28. It's preseason, even for Ed Sfida, our statistician. Dial it up, Sfida.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Verizon. More live games than ever before with NFL Mobile.
Aerial coverage provided by Nationwide Insurance as play continues here in quarter number 3. Starting at the 40, Josh Johnson had gone out to take over at quarterback for the 49ers. They called him back and sent Gabbert back out there. I want to see more from number 2. And movement along the line of scrimmage. A false start.
False start. Offense, number 63. 5-yard penalty remains, 1st down.
That was Tony Corrente, and to my left is the MVP of our coverage, Mike Pereira. Hello.
Time to bring me in when there's a penalty.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so much to talk to you about, Mike, and we'll get through this. There's obviously no rush to get through what they call the points of emphasis going into this 2014 preseason. Snap is dropped, and Gabbert just gets back on top of it, and he's tapped down inside the 30. We talked about a little bit, Mike, that you've got all these defensive holds, and you've got the contact downfield, offensive pass interference, and people say, okay, well, they're calling all these in the preseason. That'll settle down, and they won't do that during the regular season. do you believe that?
No, they're wrong. I mean, I will tell you, they were very explicit to the officials at the clinic in Dallas when they said they were going to make a point of emphasis out of illegal contact and defensive holding, that they said to the officials, teams will challenge you. They will dare you to throw the flag. And they say, throw it. They told them, throw it 5 times in a row if you have to. And they said, we want it officiated in the first week of the preseason all the way through to the Super Bowl. They don't want to change. And so really what they're talking about is making players adjust and not having the officials adjust.
I think that's the point that everybody wanted to hear, Mike, because when Dean Blandino came out and said, hey, we're going to address it, or the officials are going to make the adjustments, if it's a penalty, it's a penalty. If that's going to be the point of emphasis.
Yeah. Here is a pass caught by Osgood, and a guy who's typically a special teams ace, a short gain to bring up 4th down.
And being here today, I've watched every play downfield action, and what I'm seeing is less contact downfield in this game. I think that this is what the league hoped. 6 accepted penalties is all we've had so far in this game. We've had 1 defensive hold, 1 illegal contact, and so maybe it's having an effect, because I know one thing, so far in this week we've been averaging preseason week 3 22.5 penalties per game. That's an ugly football game when you have that many penalties.
Well, and these coaches, they don't want to be giving up these first downs either, so they are going to coach it differently and make sure these players make the adjustments.
Davis staggering around, hauls it in inside the 10. Decent return out to the 20. Mike Pereira with us, and he will continue. We may get back to more of that depending on how the rest of this game unfolds. And we ask you to join the NFL in celebrating USA Football Month. Heads Up Football is the new standard in football, developed by USA Football and supported by the NFL, dedicated to making the game better and, most importantly, safer. Football parents, ask if your child's coach is USA Football certified. Visit usafootball.com to learn more.
And a couple Pop Warner games out here on the field at halftime. Some pretty good little athletes running around.
Starting at the 20, Sorensen throws, and the pass is caught by Ladarius Green for a gain of 4. So the day continues for Brad Sorensen. And the clock is under 9 minutes and running left in quarter number 3.
Whereas these, the 49er quarterbacks through the preseason had struggled a little bit coming into the game. The Chargers quarterbacks, on the other hand, they'd all been playing at a very efficient level, Brad Sorensen included.
Handoff is to Grice, and Marion Grice, who is a 6th-round pick out of Arizona State, gains 3. Grice they like. We've seen some from Brandon Oliver, who they're calling Baby Sproles. He's got that same type body and wears the number 43.
Don't call him that, though.
No, he doesn't like that.
If you're really quick and fast and you can catch the ball and you're elusive and you're short, welcome. Your name's Darren Sproles.
Baby Sproles. 3rd down and 2. Sorensen. Pass is over everybody. And good coverage downfield on Dontrell Inman. So it's 3 and out for Sorensen. The depth for the 49ers has been so good over the last few years that they've even been willing to draft guys that were injured. Yeah. Whether it's the defensive lineman Tank Carradine, who missed all of last year recovering from ACL surgery, or Marcus Lattimore out of South Carolina, that gruesome knee injury. He sat out all of last year, and he is getting better but not ready yet here in 2014. Penalty flag is down, and so is James. The ball will hop out of bounds near the 17. But a flag thrown. $54-yard punt.
During the kick, holding receiving team number 38, 10-yard penalty.
You see James, he's limping a little bit, Joe. I didn't see if he hurt himself when he went to the ground or not, but moving a little slow.
So he limps around, and this is before the game. Plane coming by overhead from nearby San Jose Airport. Take a break. Play will begin inside the 10, the 9-yard line for Josh Johnson. Third quarterback of the day. Fakes the handoff, keeps it, and goes nowhere. Picks up a yard. New this season, stream live local Sunday afternoon games right on your smartphone with NFL Mobile. More live games than ever before. Very proud of their Wi-Fi capacity here at New Levi's Stadium, and that is a Microsoft Surface tablet.
Those are pretty cool too.
Really neat. Talk about that as Johnson throws. Pass caught. Good throw. And a nice catch for a first down by David Reed. A gain of 22. Good throw by Josh Johnson.
Well, it sure was. He puts this ball in the perfect position. It's good coverage, and yet the back shoulder fade, and able to get a good completion there to David Reed, who turns on the ball, and just excellent execution.
I know you believe that Josh Johnson logically should be a good fit for this offense. A guy who's got some experience in the NFL as Alfonso Smith carries it for 3 yards.
Yeah, experience in the NFL, and probably more importantly, some experience with Jim Harbaugh, going back to his days at the University of San Diego, and then he was here once before as well. But you know, Blaine Gabbert has been given every opportunity to be the guy, and I think that he possesses a lot of the things that you like to see in a quarterback, and his ability to drive the ball down the field in the passing game. But Josh Johnson certainly is more along the lines of Colin Kaepernick in his skill.
Handoff to Smith, and he disappears. A loss of 2. Worthington was there, and he wasn't alone. So there's the Surface tablet, and now these players, as opposed to when you played with the Polaroids, they can look at these plays that are basically instantly on that device.
Instantaneously, and when you're on the sidelines, I got a chance to look at one of those, Joe. The high def quality of those tablets, and it's outstanding because the Polaroids were always dark, and to be able to get the information that quickly and look at it
neutral zone infraction
on the spot
defense
is
number
pretty
90.
Cool.
Step in neutral zone.
You wonder why they didn't get to it sooner.
Player to false start. 5-yard penalty will remain. Third down.
It was Thomas Kaiser who will check out after that 5-yard penalty, and from what we understand, Bill Belichick of the Patriots has been holding that with him the entire time, looking at formations and plays almost as the game unfolds.
Well, that's because if it gets in the way, he can tuck it in his hoodie, I guess. You know, I mean, he's got somewhere to put it.
He does.
You know, it is pretty good. The reason they probably haven't had it earlier is they didn't have a sponsorship deal.
Oh, there you go. Here is a floater for a first down. That's Alfonso Smith. And Johnson just laid it up and let Smith find it. And on the move, he picks up 11.
Yeah, nice job by Josh Johnson in getting the ball to Alfonso Smith, someone who was brought in you know, when Kendall Hunter goes down, and someone who's got some experience, was with the Cardinals. And these are the types of things that he can provide an offense.
So the first down. Johnson trying to prove himself. He survives one hit, can't get away from another. Doug Worthington is there to clean up, and a sack on the play, a loss of 2. Chris Davis was the first one there.
Well, Josh Johnson sees the blitz. I mean, it's front side, is right in his face. He sees it. He knows the ball has to come out. The receiver has to recognize it as well, and he's got to be able to adjust his route. He clearly wasn't expecting the football, and Josh Johnson just had to try to make the best of a bad play.
So now it's second down and 12. Out of the shotgun, 4 men on the rush. Pass is high, and a nice catch. Reaching to grab it is Devon Wiley. A gain of 6. Devon out to the left. He is a second-year player out of Fresno State. So now third down for Josh Johnson with the ball inside San Diego territory. See if Johnson can convert on third down. Pass is too high, and then a vicious hit Pass was intended for David Reed, who made a catch earlier on this drive, and it went through his hands.
Yeah, there's going to be a collision because of the coverage, so you really have to protect your receiver there. You're going to get guys not wanting to go into the middle if you don't keep the ball down and away to where they can protect themselves on the catch. And an errant throw on the previous completion, Josh Johnson was upset with himself for, even though they completed the pass, it wasn't a real accurate throw. And that's the difference in this league as opposed to some others. Even though he's got NFL experience, you've got to be able to protect these receivers and then allow them to run with the football after the catch.
Earned it a fair catch, and he hauls it in near the 11. Take a break, come back, and when we do, it will be Brad Sorensen for more with his Chargers down 3. How about some history in a 10-7 game? Former Chargers head coach Sid Gilman was an innovator of the modern passing game. Don Coryell brought his San Diego State team to Chargers practices to learn from Gilman. John Madden, Joe Gibbs, Ernie Zampese, all coached under the great Don Coryell at San Diego State. Gilman was the head coach of the LA Chargers. Then they moved to San Diego in '61. Don Coryell was the head coach at San Diego State. And so while you think of Coryell and Air Coryell when he was in the NFL, he really was a guy who brought the I formation to USC. I mean, there's so many different facets to this. And when you talk about Ernie Zampese, that coaching tree filters all the way down to you, Troy Aikman, of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, the influence that Sid Gilman had and Don Coryell, and as it worked its way through, as we just saw, and it's in the league right now. I mean, I had the opportunity to work with Norv Turner. He learned the offense from Ernie Zampese, who I later got a chance to spend some time with. So it's being run currently in Minnesota, doing very well, I might add, for Teddy Bridgewater, the rookie, and then even in Dallas, with Jason Garrett, who was a backup with me with the Cowboys. So a lot of the same concepts, and they've stood the test of time.
Here's Grice over the right side. He's carried it on the first 2 plays from scrimmage. Again, a 4th third down coming up. Our friend John Madden, part of that coaching tree. And out west here, you see a lot of those same names swirling around one another. And Zampese and John Madden were linked through the years. A 3rd down and 3 coming up.
We missed John on our trip here out west. Yeah. Normally we get a chance to visit with him, and next time.
Just an education sitting there with him. Pass is tipped and picked. Penalty flag is down. The interception made by the rookie Jimmy Ward. Will have to check the foul. Niners are indicating it's against San Diego. If it is, the pick will stand for the rookie and the 1st-round pick out of Northern Illinois.
Yeah, Jimmy Ward, he shows some ball skills here after this ball gets deflected.
That's Lynch.
Aaron Lynch, the other rookie, a couple times, and Jimmy Ward's
there is
able
no
to make a
penalty
play.
for pass interference, as the ball had been tipped at the line of scrimmage. Interception by San Francisco results in a 1st down.
Well, the question is whether he had possession. It sure looked to me like he did. And Jimmy Ward is a guy that they brought in, and they're expecting some pretty big things from. He's a safety by position, played corner earlier in his collegiate career, but he was drafted for one purpose, Joe, and that's to play the slot nickel defender, where Carlos Rogers had been playing for the last few years. He left via free agency. And that is not an easy position, but yet he's got the wherewithal that they believe he can handle it. Last week he got a chance to work against one of the league's best in Wes Welker, and while I mentioned him, thoughts are with him as he suffered another concussion last night.
It's a turnover, so it is automatically looked at. And I would agree with you. It looked like Ward secured that. There's not enough there to overturn the call on the field. As we look ahead to September 7th, it's week 1 of the upcoming NFL season, and we're back, a doubleheader. And here are the matchups: Saints, Falcons, Redskins, Texans, Bills, Bears, Vikings, Rams, and then America's Game of the Week. These 49ers in Dallas or Carolina and Tampa Bay. It all starts with a Fox NFL kickoff show at 11 a.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1, followed by NFL Sunday at noon Eastern on Fox. So we'll see the 49ers and the Cowboys in week 1, and we're going to attempt to go through a lot of those matchups and a lot of those teams before the end of our day here in Santa Clara on this broadcast, as this game is headed toward quarter number 4.
You talked about the game we have in the opener with the 49ers and the Cowboys. You know, that game looked to be a win for the 49ers when you look at the two teams and where they were and where they finished a year ago. But Dallas certainly struggling on defense. Offensively, they have some weapons. But the way this offense is playing for the 49ers, if they don't pull it together and on the road, that game could be a lot tighter than anybody would have anticipated when the schedules were announced.
Well, this could very well be the final look for Colin Kaepernick in the first-string offense, because typically teams don't do much of anything in the final preseason game. And if that's the case, then that first-string offense with Kaepernick is going to go through the preseason not putting up a touchdown.
Yeah, I could see where maybe Jim Harbaugh will elect to play them another quarter next week to see if they can pull it together. But, you know, as a player, then you say, hey, we'll get it going. We're going to be okay. But I can tell you internally, when you have struggled like that as an offense, it is on your mind, and it's a factor.
Get the call from Tony Corrente. See if the interception by Ward stands.
After review, the ruling on the field will stand as an interception. San Francisco's ball, first down.
On that play, the guy that got up and tipped it was Aaron Lynch. And I'll just step out and say we may not see a lot of Aaron Lynch early in the season, the rookie out of South Florida, but you can just see physically he's a little bit different than the other guys he's battling with. And before the end of the season, he could make a big impact for this team.
Clearly, I think worth the risk at, you know, as a 5th-round pick.
Here's Johnson trying to avoid the rush. Trying to get back to the line of scrimmage, and he basically does. No gain on the play. Law is there. And more pressure in the face of a 49er quarterback.
Yeah, so you see the two defensive guys with as you said, Aaron Lynch, he deflects the ball. Jimmy Ward, their 1st-round pick, he makes the interception. Nice plays. And then in talking with Greg Roman, he absolutely loves the 3 guys that he has that were drafted on the offensive side of the ball.
Blitz coming from San Diego. Pass is caught. On 2nd down, a gain of 6. And the pass is caught by one of the backup tight ends, Kyle Nelson. Take a look at the NFC West. And obviously, Richard Sherman, the Legion of Boom. 20 interceptions since 2011. He gets rarely targeted yet. He had 8 a year ago. Robert Quinn might be the best defensive lineman in the game, certainly the best young one. And Patrick Peterson, his impact on the Cardinals, got the big contract over the offseason. Here's a pass caught on 3rd down for a first down by Bruce Ellington. And a gain of 8. A nice throw and a good catch by number 3.
Well, I like this young man. I know everyone in the organization does too. But just a nice feel of recognizing that he's open. You know, don't go screaming inside where you bring defenders to you. He throttles it down enough. He gives Josh Johnson a nice target. I like what I've seen from him.
1st and goal. Handoff is to Winston. The young running back, Glenn Winston, who is a rookie, loses a yard. It was Palapoy in there to make the stop. Take a break, come back 4th quarter when we return. 3-point game, San Francisco on top, moving in again. Back after this from your local Fox station. Second down and goal for Josh Johnson and the 49ers as we begin the 4th quarter here in Santa Clara. 49ers have a 4th quarterback, McLeod Bethel Thompson, who's looked pretty good in this preseason. He may get in before the end of the day. Right now it's Johnson. Had a big completion on a 3rd down moments ago, and now faces 2nd and goal. Pressure, hangs in, pass out of the reach of the tight end, Asante Cleveland. Tell you what, Josh Johnson's not scared. He's got guys in his face, and he hangs in there well.
Well, he's hanging in there, but he's got to make a better throw then. I mean, he had him open. I mean, he gets hit pretty good. He gets planted into the turf, but he saw the route develop. He had him open right from the start. You just got to lay that ball towards the sideline and let your guy go catch it. Just too many missed throws in this game by San Francisco quarterbacks.
So now 3rd down and goal. Looking left all the way, and now running to his left. Throws, end zone, incomplete. Coverage on David Reed. Early coverage by Cresdon Butler.
And you mentioned, Joe, that there's 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Clearly this team's going to go as far as Colin Kaepernick takes them. But I think that as a team that goes into the season as a Super Bowl contender, well, you better have that backup position, where you feel pretty comfortable about it. Last year with Colt McCoy, I don't know that they ever felt great about that because of when Colt came in and he struggled and trying to learn the offense, but it didn't affect them. Well, you'd sure hate to have to give up on the season just because you lose one guy.
Dawson will chip it through. Good news that he's okay to continue after rolling that left ankle earlier. 28-yarder is good, and it's a 6-point game. You heard Aaron Andrews talk about how some of these Charger players were looking at the visitors' locker room here at New Levi Stadium. That's a look inside the 49ers locker room. And there were no locker rooms like this in any stadium when you were playing, Troy. And every locker room needs a barber chair.
Yeah, of course they do. We need one up here for Steve Horn.
For Steve Horn. God, if we could make that happen.
No, there's some terrific stadiums out there as we've seen. They just get nicer and nicer, and there's a lot of money being made by a lot of people around the league these days.
Well, it's not like they hang out very long in those locker rooms. Their practice facility is literally next door. But they are gorgeous. They spared no expense. As Brandon Oliver, don't call him baby, Sproles is out across the 20.
Oliver takes it 5 yards deep in the end zone, out to the 20.
How about a guy that you would have, I'm sure, liked to throw to when it counted? There's Aikman. Randy Moss down the sideline, pass is caught. The Cowboys were seriously thinking about drafting Randy Moss, and he was crushed when that came and went. You guys drafted Greg Ellis, the defensive player,
who went on and had a great career. And I thought we were going to take Randy Moss as well. I told him out on the field, I said, hey, we should have been doing this for 10 years in Dallas.
Pass is dropped. That's Tevin Reese.
Randy had a few big games against the Dallas Cowboys as well.
How about
while
this
I was
one?
playing, and then later.
How about this one? And we've changed it. We had the whole highlight package with Randy Moss, but there's his day. 3 catches, 163 yards, and all 3 catches touchdowns. But how about your day? Had to be one of, if not your best in the NFL.
Well, it was statistically my best game, and he was a rookie that year. Averaged over 50 yards a catch.
Pass is caught. That's Oliver. And Oliver on second down picks up 3. So you throw for 455 yards and you don't get a win.
Don't get a win, and nobody talks about it. They're talking about Randy Moss, and as they should. He had a great career. It's great to have him on the team here with Fox Sports. And he was talking about how he thought he was going to be a Cowboy, and a little bit like Johnny Manziel. I think that he really thought that he was going to be a Cowboy when he slid that far down as well. But looking forward to seeing what he can do ultimately in Cleveland.
This is going to be an incomplete pass. They're going to say the arm was going forward. This is no touchdown. Brad Sorensen got hit by Lemonier, and it's an incomplete pass. So the celebration is a good one, but it doesn't count. And let's take another look.
Pass is ruled incomplete, 4th down.
And that's close. But the call by Tony Corrente, he's the one that made the call. And there is no fumble in return for a touchdown.
Yeah, I think that was the right call. It was close, but I think you got it right.
So it's a challenge by Jim Harbaugh. Mike Pereira to our left thinks it's a good call.
Having said that, I think it's worth the challenge by Jim Harbaugh.
Is Mike's mic open? Mike, can you talk?
Can I?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm allowed.
What do you think?
Finish cutting
like
Steve
this?
Horn's hair?
Yeah.
We cut his hair.
What do you think?
Well, it's a forward pass. But I'll tell you, even if they were to reverse
San
it to
Francisco
a
is challenging
fumble,
the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass.
even if they were to rule it a fumble, the ball's dead at the point of recovery because he ruled it an incomplete pass, so there'd be no advance allowed.
Yeah, they would just get the ball.
So we will get the call when we come back.
Today's game is sponsored by Walmart. Walmart's tender, juicy steaks are all natural, quality 100% guaranteed. And by the new Samsung Galaxy S5. The next big thing is here.
Time-lapse photography as the stadium is erected here in Santa Clara. Here's the call.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed as a forward pass and incomplete. It will be 4th down for San Diego. San Francisco is charged a timeout and has no further reviews available.
The arm going forward enough, the ball still in the hand enough to constitute a forward pass. There's Aaron Lynch again in there to make the play, and it's 4th down. And the punt. Better punt this time. Waiting for it is Wiley. Devin Wiley from inside the 30. Survives a couple of hits. Decent return. The young player out of Fresno State, a return of 9 yards after a 47-yard punt. This week, college football returns with a full slate of games as Rutgers takes on Washington State. And Colorado State battles Colorado. North Dakota State takes on Iowa State. And Fresno State looks to upset 15th ranked USC on Fox. It all begins Thursday on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
I'll tell you, Joe, it does feel good to get football back. And, you know, this is our only preseason game. The preseason games will be over here in a week, and college football kicking off, and then the NFL regular season, and it's good to get everything underway.
These two teams will both play their final preseason game Thursday. And when you think about preseason and roster cutdowns, they have to go from 90 to 75 on Tuesday, from 75 to 53 on Saturday. So there are a lot of guys out on that field right now that have that Tuesday cut day and the Saturday cut day right in the front of their minds.
A lot of players holding their breath come this Tuesday. I think that's the easy cuts, you know, for an organization, and then they get real difficult there on the last cut. And for those players that are, you know, on the bubble, a lot of anxious moments, of course, for them.
Handoff is to Winston. Player loses a helmet. Winston pushes the pile forward for a 7-yard gain and a 1st down.
You know, one of the things, Joe, that I liked to see that was announced about a week ago is they are expanding the practice squad from 8 players to 10 players. And that's pretty nice. I mean, there's 64 guys that are going to get an opportunity to remain on a team in some capacity that otherwise would have likely been, you know, out of football. Maybe they get picked up again at some point, but a number of players that start out on the practice squad do ultimately go on and at least get a chance to crack a 53-man lineup. So it's a chance to develop some more players, and that's one of the areas that the NFL has really tried to address, and I think they help in that regard with the expansion of that practice squad.
Ricky Chongachu is down and getting looked at. Meanwhile, one of the players lost his helmet, and that was Carruthers, and he stayed in there on the play.
73, Ricky Chongachu.
So they're looking at Chongachu on the field. We'll take a break as we play in the 4th quarter here in Northern California. Let's take a look at some of the matchups and some of the teams in those matchups leading into week 1. You've got Tony Romo's back. You've got Rod Marinelli as defensive coordinator in Dallas. You've got trying to finish over 500 for the Dallas Cowboys. There are a lot of questions going on in Dallas, and they got hurt right off the bat, losing linebacker Sean Lee to a torn ACL, and They've lost a couple of other defensive players that defensively they're in trouble, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, it's going to be tough on them defensively. Again, Rod Marinelli takes over as defensive coordinator. He's as good as there is and one of the most respected guys in all of football. The offense is going to have to be what carries that team, and I don't know if it's going to be enough. Tony Romo, as you said, 2 back surgeries in a year's time frame, and how is that going to hold up? It didn't, you know, he took a lot of hits last night in that preseason game, but I think it's going to be a tough year for the Dallas Cowboys.
That's why it was interesting, and I know it had your attention when Johnny Manziel was sliding down that first round on draft day as Chongachu was carted off. I know there have been reports after the fact that Jerry Jones wanted to draft Johnny Manziel and he was overruled by Stephen Jones. Whatever happened there happened. But that, here's Johnson out to his right. Everybody bit on the fake, and Johnson's out of bounds near the 45. I know there was a lot of temptation, despite the financial investment they've made in Tony Romo, to take Manziel and that celebrity and put him in a Cowboys uniform.
Yeah, I don't think it was a clear-cut decision that they were not going to draft him. I don't think they expected Manziel to be available, and then when he was, he's a dynamic player that can certainly put a lot of people in the stands, and I think it was the right decision. I mean, you've invested a lot of money in Tony Romo, but I was a little surprised. I actually thought Jerry would pull the trigger on him.
Here's a first down carry by Glenn Winston. He's looked good. A couple chances he's had here in the fourth quarter. A gain of 7 and a first down.
You know, then you look at the Giants, you know, speaking of the NFC East, and you know, they've got some new coordinators as well, or at least one on offense, and a new offense for the first time for Eli Manning. And that hasn't gone very well. The first 2 games were a real struggle, a little better this week, not that much better, and I see them as a team that's going to struggle also.
They take Ben McAdoo as their offensive coordinator in a completely different system for Eli Manning, who's coming off ankle surgery. They've had a tough time getting the ball down the field so far in this preseason. First down carry by Winston, and now another player is down. That's Marcus Martin, who has been slowed by injury. He's been bothered by a bad ankle, a 3rd-round pick out of USC. They like him a lot, but he's in pain down on the field. Take a break.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by AT&T, mobilizing your world.
Well, for the 3rd time in this game, they've had to bring the cart out onto the field to get a player off the field, and that player is Marcus Martin, the young center they love. He got caught up and then bent over backward in the middle of this pile on the run by Winston, and it was the body of Winston on the tackle that caught the back of the legs of Marcus Martin, and so they have to bring the cart out for him. And that'd be a big loss because, as you said, Goodwin's gone. Kilgore takes over at center. They're without Alex Boone. They're now this great offensive line, and it's been the class of the NFL in San Francisco, and they run a very high-tech run game. It's a cohesive offensive line. It looks completely different, and it's getting thinner.
Yeah, this is significant. You know, to what extent the injury is, you know, we don't know, but you called it. He'd been hurt earlier in camp, missed some time. That center position was really intended to be a competition between him and Daniel Kilgore, but because he missed so much time, Kilgore's been the guy. But now they lose depth, if nothing else, and that's significant. You know, you see Jim Harbaugh out there with him. That tells you a lot. I mean, that none of these coaches want to see players. They want to see the teams get better and improvement and all those things in preseason. The last thing that they want to see is what we're watching right now, and we've seen a number of injuries that have occurred to the 49ers throughout this preseason.
You saw Dylan Farrell, a rookie, a 23-year-old, a free agent out of New Mexico. He's getting ready to come in. So they started with Kilgore. They lose Marcus Martin. Kilgore's fine. He got through his day without injury, and a nice hand from the fans that are left here at Levi Stadium as Marcus Martin is carted away. So he'll get looked at. Dylan Farrell, the rookie, will take over as the drive continues. 32-yard line, 2nd down and 4. I like this Glenn Winston, the running back. rookie free agent out of Northwood. There he is again. Cuts back. He can scoot. And Winston has been brought down with enough yardage for a first down by Worthington.
A lot of times with a young running back, what happens is they oftentimes don't show patience. And you see Winston, he knows where the cutback lane is, and sometimes they're so fast getting up in there that they fail to see it, and they don't get in the hole when it's there. And Winston really shows some good patience for a young player, and a nice pickup.
And here he goes, Winston for the touchdown. He broke free and barely got touched. Glenn Winston with a big fourth quarter, 27 yards.
Now this is the power run. They lead with the guard. He pulls and gets in the hole, and it opens up nicely for Winston. That's great execution by that offensive line, creating a nice hole for Glenn Winston.
He's listed, Troy, at 6'1", 220. And he looks like he plays a little bit smaller than that, only because he just appears more shifty than somebody that's 6'2". But a nice run, and now we'll get a chance to see a two-point try. Something that the 49ers, believe it or not, didn't attempt all of last year.
We'll see what Greg Roman has called up for Josh Johnson. A lot of times in these situations with a guy who can move, you want to get him on the edge. He's going to call timeout, but you move the pocket, give him some options to find a receiver or even take off and try to run it in if there's a crease.
Play clock was winding down, and going for two might have taken everybody by surprise, so a timeout is called. Well, let's talk fantasy football. This season joined David Spade. Spade is with us. Jay Glazer and 6 other celebrities as they battle it out in fantasy football every week. They'll be getting together to discuss stats, set lineups, talk trash, catch fantasy football uncensored. Sponsored by State Farm, September 4th at 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
Of course, congratulations go out to Michael Strahan going into the Hall of Fame. And how about Jay Glazer being the one who presented him? That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, did a nice job doing it as well. Well, there is Johnson out on the edge, and there's the two-pointer. And the catch made by Lance Lewis. And a 21-7 game here in Santa Clara. Well, the backup's getting something done here. It was Glenn Winston for the 27-yard touchdown. And the two-point conversion, that's got Mike McCoy scratching the lid. Crowd's starting to thin out a little bit as this becomes a 14-point game. 21-7. Temperature is up to 90. Started just over 80 at the beginning of the day. This is Marion Grice. And the young running back, Grice, a 6th-round pick out of Arizona State. Good for 24, and down to Aaron Andrews we go.
Hey-o, let's do a little geography lesson here. Talk about history first, though. Former Beatle Paul McCartney shut down Candlestick Park by playing a farewell concert there on August 14th. The 49ers' new home right here in Santa Clara, Levi Stadium. It's 43 miles southeast of San Francisco. And because our crew loves it so much, In-N-Out Burger, baby, 2 miles southwest of the stadium. Joe, you and I saw a good part of Santa Clara on our way here. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, we got a lot of it. Here's a pass that's tipped.
You didn't get a driver that didn't know how to get to the stadium, did you?
Let's just move on. Here's Aaron Lynch, who makes the play again as he got his hand up and got a piece of that pass coming out. Lynch has been all over the place since getting a chance to play. Had some disciplinary issues at South Florida, but 49ers spent a 5th-round pick on him, and he looks like a player. 2nd and 10. Handoff is to Grice. Grice good for 5. 3rd down coming up. Colin Kaepernick, and talk about the great traditions of running back at that position in San Francisco. They've got a brilliant one in Frank Gore, and they just drafted Carlos Hyde, and Winston has made a dent in this game. Sorensen airs it out downfield and throws it out of bounds in the direction of Tevin Reese.
You mentioned
the flag is down.
You mentioned Frank Gore, Joe, and even Greg
Illegal
Roman.
Contact, defense, number 44, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Even Greg Roman talked about how he, really overused him last year, that he got hot and he went with the hot hand, and Frank getting up there in age, although he doesn't complain. He wants the ball as much as he can get it, and one of my favorite players in the league. He's as tough as they come and just an exceptional football player. But they would like to take some of that burden off of him and preserve him a little bit more, at least through the season until they get into the postseason. And Hyde might be the guy who'll be able to do that for him.
Pass is caught, and a big hit is put on by DJ Campbell as he just laid into Torrance Allen.
He's sitting back there in zone coverage, and he sees the crossing route, and he's able to get a beat on it and come in there, and he does a great job. That's kind of what Mike Pereira was talking about earlier, just in terms of players adjusting. He leads with his shoulder, doesn't go to the helmet. Excellent job.
This throw from Sorensen out of the reach of everybody. Flag down. Sorensen let it go, and it's a hold. Under 10 to go here in this fourth quarter, and we'll get the call.
Illegal use of the hands of the face, defense, number 98. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Hold turned into hands to the face as Lawrence Okoye is guilty of that, and what is carried with that is the automatic first down. So Okoye checks out. He is a second-year player. Didn't play collegiately, a free agent that was part of this organization last year. Moves it out to the 41-yard line. Pass is caught. That's Tevin Reese. Sorensen's looked his way a couple of times out to the 45-yard line, a gain of 4. There's a Saints and Falcons matchup week 1, and we'll get into those two teams as we make our way through this last quarter. Here is a sack, and the play is made by Aaron Lynch, and he has been impossible to stop by the backup offensive lineman of the Chargers here in this last quarter, even though he got an arm around the neck.
Could have got a call there offensively for a hold, that he fights through it and is able to get to the quarterback. And you're right, he's looked very impressive here this afternoon. He had lost a bunch of weight. He got stronger. He got a little bit bigger, and he's had an impact here in this game.
Pass is caught. Good throw this time by Sorensen. Catch is made by Chancellor. He loses his helmet on the sideline, a gain of 10. It will be fourth down.
You look at this 49er defense, and how good are they going to be? There's a standard that has been set here for several years, and Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, he knows he's going to be without Bowman. He knows he's going to be a period of time without Aldon Smith, but he thinks that this team defensively, they got to prove it, but they could be better than the group they had last year. That's saying something.
It is, and I think might be a bit optimistic.
Yeah, I think the reason he's saying it as much as anything is because Justin Smith was hurt last year, played hurt. Ray McDonald wasn't healthy. But with a guy like Justin Smith, who's to say he's going to stay healthy through the year? Because he's up there, he's in his 14th season. It's hard for guys at that age to stay healthy throughout the year. But if they can stay healthy, I mean, that front seven obviously is the strength of this defense. But the secondary, some I don't want to say inexperienced, but at the corner position, they've got some guys who have played, but they haven't been starters. If they could come along, I think that's where he's starting to think that maybe this group can be as good or better than what they had.
McLeod Bethel Thompson takes over at quarterback. From the 20, the handoff is to Winston, and he is good for a couple out to the 22. Here's the good news for the 49ers as we look at their schedule and how they will start the year. We know they're at Dallas, then they're at home against Chicago, regular season debut for Levi Stadium, then at Arizona, at home against Philly and Kansas City. They don't have Seattle, their main rival, and I think not only the reigning champs but the class of football going into the season, until weeks 13 and 15. And by that point, they may have Dorsey back, Aldon Smith back, Navarro Bowman back. They got a lot of uncertainty out there because of injuries, because of a suspension coming to Aldon Smith. But by that time, they could have some huge pieces back on this defense,
which certainly helps them. And then I would hate to be the 49ers and see the Seattle Seahawks on the schedule early based on what we've seen in preseason, because this team clearly is struggling. Seattle, on the other hand, you watch them and you say, okay, is there going to be a little bit of a drop off, or you're going to get complacent? I've seen nothing from them to suggest they're not going to be a very dominant football team again this year.
Here is a flag thrown out of the secondary. Devin Wiley was out in the pattern, and they're going to call a hold, a defensive hold, which is an automatic first down.
Defense, number 10. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Joey, then you look at Mike McCoy and the Chargers, and them opening up at Arizona. A team that they had a heck of a season last year. Arizona did. They failed to make the playoff. One of those 10-win teams that just unable to get in. But that's not going to be a picnic either. And then they host Seattle, which is far different than having to travel to the Northwest. But I'm looking forward to watching this Charger team throughout the season.
Yeah, here's a handoff to Alphonso Smith. But I think where you were going was that this Seattle team might be the first team to not only win a Super Bowl, but to me, you can pick the dark horses and everybody wants to, who do you like, who do you like? If you're going to shove all the chips into the middle of the table and say this is the team I like going in, who knows what happens injury wise, it's clearly Seattle. With what they've been able to do, how they're built, the youth at quarterback, and how Russell Wilson keeps getting better and better. He's been outstanding this preseason. They've got it all.
Yeah, they're John Schneider, their general manager, has done an outstanding job, and they got young players, they got great depth. I mean, they got that program turned around in a hurry. They're not going anywhere. You look at the first games of the season there, and it's exciting. I mean, every team's looking forward to it. Every fan is.
Clown Bethel Thompson was not on the same page as David Reed, and so on third down, an incompletion and a punt coming up. Phillip Rivers is finished. He made the catch on that pass from McLeod Bethel Thompson and took one away from Antonio Gates.
Well, Phillip Rivers has been one of my favorite players in this league for a long time, and he came into the league with the draft class of Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger. Both those guys have won 2 Super Bowls, and I think this team is capable. The defense continues to show improvement like they did at the end of last season. This team's capable of hoisting that Lombardi Trophy also.
Chancellor muffed it and was able to get back on top of it. Just over 5 minutes to go in this game. Second NFL game in this stadium. And the Broncos last week, and they spared no expense. This place is gorgeous. Levi Stadium here in Santa Clara. They actually have a bike valet, and there was a wedding even. Mindy and John McGrath. And while Navarro Bowman rehabilitates that knee injury, John McGrath is saluting his favorite linebacker as he gets married to his now wife Mindy here at Levi Stadium. Handoff is to Marion Grice. Gain of 1.
Well, congratulations to the married couple and the McGraths, and congratulations also, I guess, are in order for Michael Crabtree. He became a father this week. Exciting time in his life.
He was in this game briefly. He was in last week's game against Denver briefly, coming back from a bad hamstring. He's a free agent to be at the end of the year. Crabtree. Out to his right, Sorensen. He hits Jake Byrne, who got smoked by Scove. A young linebacker, Shane Scove, a rookie out of Stanford, played nearby Palo Alto, who admitted that if he's going to make this team at this point, he's going to have to make this team as a special teamer.
Well, those decisions that we talked about going into that last cut, you know, that's going to be the difference. You got to be a backup player, but if you're a backup player, you better be contributing something on special teams.
Out of the shotgun, Sorensen on third down. Pass is caught. That's a first down to Braylon Chancellor. And Braylon Chancellor, who is not big at all, 5'8", 188, good for 19 yards.
Nice job there hanging in Brad Sorensen, and delivers a good ball, and he finishes it off. You know, I look out there, Joe, right now and see this field, and it actually held up much better than I expected based on what we saw in pregame. And my understanding, they're ripping the field out after this game.
Yeah. Well, FIFA's got something to say. They have a soccer match coming up between Mexico and Chile. They've already canceled or at least postponed a couple of high school games, pushed them back. But that soccer match will happen in early September. And they are going to pull all this turf up, take a look at the soil underneath, and figure out a better way to install the natural surface here at Levi Stadium. A bobble and a drop by Torrance Allen. Had it, lost it. Kenneth Acker, a young corner that the 49ers like a lot. 6th round pick out of SMU in coverage.
Yeah, you see Terrence Allen, and you know, if he throttles that down a little bit in the zone, it's a perfectly thrown ball. As it was, it's just a little bit behind him, but you know, that's one that he certainly should have been able to handle.
Looking for another conversion on third down as Sorensen. He has had the bulk of the work in this game. Pass is caught, good for a first down. And again, Jake Byrne is on the receiving end, his second catch on this drive, a gain of 7. 3.5 to go, and one of the players limps away, so they blow the whistles, move the ball back a couple of yards. First down at the 48. An intimate gathering of family and friends left at Levi Stadium to the end of this one. Pass is caught underneath. That's Allen. He missed earlier, doesn't miss this time, but he's got a first down inside the 35. Gain of 16.
Well, Mike McCoy, he's letting Brad Sorensen, you know, run the offense. They're staying in the no huddle and letting him get his reps and run the offensive system that they were running while Phillip Rivers was out there with the first group.
Handoff is to Grice. And a nice run by Marion Grice, pushing the pile. He's got a first down and still going. Daryl Morris on the stop, and that could take us, and probably will take us, to the 2-minute warning. We'll talk about this 49er offense when we come back, and Mike McCoy, he wants to keep going. He wants to see Sorensen get another play away before the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, part of it is they're down, but using these preseason games, you're really focused on not scoreboard, but just working on your stuff. But this is what they do, and he wants to run it at a fast clip.
Byrne makes the catch just outside the 10. And we're at the 2-minute warning. Mike McCoy's team came in with a record of 1-1 this preseason, looking at 1-2. Take a break, come back. Minute 59 to go. Ball is at the 10, 2nd down and 2. A minute 59 to go in this tilt between San Francisco and San Diego. Played every year in the preseason since 1987. Pass is dropped. Dropped by Tevin Reese. The penalty flag is down. kind of teased the whole call an offensive pass interference.
Pass interference, offense, number 82. 10-yard penalty remains, second down.
They say 82, and that's Ryan Otten. Here he is right here. You see the collision at the top. And see what they're essentially trying to get a natural picking action there, and I guess that's what they called. I didn't really see much other than that Otten did.
Second and 12. Sorensen scans the field and picked off. Pass was bobbled, picked off by Morris. It just laid there on top of him. Good coverage in the interception to end this day defensively for the 49ers.
An excellent job of just breaking on the ball and then locating it once it went in the air. And, you know, that's the defender then that Sorensen has to see that's out in front of the receiver. You know, when you're playing zone coverage like that, those are the guys that you've got to be able to anticipate. But he drives on it, comes back on it, and it's a good job.
He was a part of this team last year. Daryl Morris, a free agent out of Texas State, did a good job to hang on as that ball was batted around and came down on his arm, able to secure it. And we'll see how aggressive the 49ers want to be, and the answer is not at all. I talked about the offense for the 49ers. They made some progress here, but they didn't make the progress with Kaepernick's group. They made the progress with Gabbard's group, and they made the progress with Josh Johnson's group, and they still have a lot of the same questions going into next week and the regular season that they had coming into today.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround too, Joe, and as you said, I mean, going into the last preseason game, how much, if at all, are these guys going to play? I would anticipate that they would get some playing time based on what has happened, but it's a concern. I mean, talking with different people within the organization, the way that the offense had not really been able to get it going, they thought they would be able to today against a defense that, you know, hasn't been one of the great defenses in the league, at least not last season, and yet they struggled once again. So certainly some concerns as they embark on the 2014 year.
I want to make good on a promise earlier, just real quick. We got Atlanta and New Orleans getting together week 1. You like New Orleans?
I do.
You think? I know you think they've got a shot to get there again.
Yeah, I mean, the offense is going to continue to do what they do. Defensively, another year with Rob Ryan, and he did an excellent job last year. I like them in that division, and I like them in the conference. I just think they're well coached. Sean Payton does a great job getting that team prepared.
So we will take a break. As we are finished with our day, it's the first preseason win for the 49ers. They finally got into the end zone, and they showed some good things here today, although still some questions for the starting offensive group. Good day defensively for San Francisco, no doubt. And Joe Staley, 3-time Pro Bowler. Wake it up. Time to get off the field. Come back and wrap up our day after this. The two quarterbacks get together in midfield after this 21-7 win for the 49ers. Kaepernick and Phillip Rivers here in Santa Clara at New Levi's Stadium. We welcome you inside our broadcast booth. I am Joe Buck. That is Troy Aikman. And we certainly saw a lot. These preseason games can obviously run long. You get to some of the backups by the time you get into the second half. And there's plenty to talk about there. But for our purposes, we'll talk about the starters. First of all, Phillip Rivers, coming off that record-setting year with a completion percentage just under 70%. You can see why, because this offense really suits what he does.
It does, and he talked about it, Joe, that, you know, they're doing the things that he had always kind of dreamt of doing when he was young, you know, and that is kind of running the offense at the line of scrimmage. A lot of the things that we've seen over the years from a guy like Peyton Manning, and, you know, now he's being afforded that. So last year was exciting. Now here in year 2, he's got more weapons, another year in the offense. You know, he's enthusiastic and really looking forward to a great year, and rightfully so. I think these Chargers
are going to put together an outstanding season.
If any 49er fan worries about the offense, and there are concerns, worry about the defense and the guys who aren't there, like Navarro Bowman, and who knows how long they'll be without Alden Smith, and Dante Whitner is gone. I think the one thing that the 49ers have, not only a really, really good head coach, but they have two outstanding coordinators, and I have all the faith in the world those two guys will get these players ready to go for week 1.
Well, I concur. You know, I mean, because this is an organization that has a lot of really gifted players, and they've got some veteran leadership and quality veteran leadership, and then you combine that with some outstanding coaching by the coordinators as well as their head coach. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to have a great year. Last year they started the year out 1-2. They end up going 12-4. They're in the NFC Championship game, right? Well, this year, it may be a bit of a struggle early on. They don't want to hear that, but what we've seen, it could be a little bit of a challenge. But by year's end, I think that they'll be right in the middle of it again.
To follow along those lines, let's go down to the field and check in with Aaron Andrews.
All right, you told me coming out of the half, the offense is not where it needs to be rhythm-wise. So what is it going to take to get there?
We just have to practice. We have to execute when we step on the field and come with that game mentality that we have to be physical.
Yeah, and you talk about practice. Last preseason game of the season is going to be Thursday night. Typically, the starters won't play that game. You haven't thrown for a touchdown, you know, in this preseason. What do you want to do? Do you guys think you should be out there, or how would you handle it?
Well, it's the preseason. We're worried about the games that count. So when that time comes around, if we don't score then that's a problem.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
All right, Colin Kaepernick stopping by with Aaron Andrews. Let's recap this game. The defense all over Kaepernick. Corey Legend was outstanding here defensively for San Diego. First touchdown, Rivers to Antonio Gates. A 10-yard touchdown throw. Phillip Rivers 9 for 10 on the day. Then it was Gabbert, the backup quarterback to Vance McDonald, for the touchdown, the first one of the day for San Francisco. And then it was Glenn Winston with a nice run for the second touchdown of the day for the offense. And I really like Glenn Winston. He's one of those young guys we could talk about. And Gabbert, you know, so much discussion coming in. The backup, his contract is guaranteed. I thought he looked better here today.
I did too. I think there's so much that he's got to feel good about. I mean, it's been a long time. It's been a while since he's come out of a game and has had something to feel good about. And that's what has to happen for a quarterback. And, you know, because of the way that they do things offensively and the job that Greg Roman does, I think that this is a great environment for him where there isn't the pressure that there was on him in Jacksonville as a 10th overall pick. I like the young man. I like what I've seen. I also know how fragile the position can be. And hopefully this is a place where he can make home and get a chance to play. And, you know, a young player like you talked about with Winston, you know, there's other teams that are looking at these guys. So if they get cut from this team, or, you know, there's a good chance that a guy like him, after a showing like today, gets picked up elsewhere.
You see what's coming up next, except on the West Coast, our primetime lineup, and we will wrap up our day. Fox NFL Sunday returns for real on Sunday, September 7th, week 1. A doubleheader Sunday. Coverage begins at 11 a.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. And we will highlight the 49ers and the Cowboys in the late window. For Mike Pereira, Aaron Andrews, Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, so long from San.
Fox Sports thanks you for watching this presentation of the National Football League. The NFL is online at www.nfl.com.